Welcome back to Tales Arcane and to another episode of Heroes of the Highlands, our Scottish-themed 5th edition's Dungeons and Dragons playthrough on the channel. We're continuing an adventure which has already begun, in which our players are attempting to infiltrate the heavily fortified town and castle of Lochilvin, hoping to free the innocent werewolf, Camellia. Camellia is a werewolf, but has not committed any crime other than having inherited the property of lycanthropy from her forebears. And she has been arrested by the Silver Thistle, an order of werewolf hunting knights who have essentially set themselves up as petty tyrants in the town of Lochilvin. But unknown to the residents of Lochilvin, Camelia's werewolf brother, who is far less peaceful than she is on his way now, planning to slaughter the town and free or avenge his sister, depending on whether or not she's alive by the time he gets there. You have come to the town at the behest of Camelia's husband and Camelia's daughter, who beg you to save her and to prevent the massacre that will surely unfold if she is allowed to die before her brother arrives. Having arrived and kind of blagged your way through the gates, you found your way into the Bloody Claymore Tavern, where you made some valuable contacts, and then headed to the Temple of the Fates, where Boglach, our druid, was able to rope the priest into a large conspiracy that you're now preparing to run. Maps for tonight are created with Incarnate, the map making software. We have music throughout the episode created by the wonderful Nerdius Maximus Studios. You can find a link to their Patreon below this video. And the character artwork that you can see on screen right now for our three heroes was created by Jessica Bowen, whose Instagram page and artwork you can find again linked below the video. Anything else we need to cover, or is that it? Of course, as always, we have Louis playing Boglach, our Furbog Druid. We have Sarah playing Zell, our Half-Elven Ranger. And we have Cal taking on the role of Glut, our barbarian, who's kind of a physical manifestation of intelligence being a dump stat. And but you know what? It's not about intelligence, because Glut has heart, and that's what matters. And
So much
hilariously,
art.
hilariously, the plan that you devised, I think, was basically devised by Glut, which is going to make this episode very interesting. As we begin tonight's session, our heroes, having split up to carry out various preparation tasks around the town of Lochilvin, are rendezvousing again back at the Bloody Claymore Tavern in preparation for what is to come. They've been making contact with a couple of people around the town, the blacksmith, the Crone's Eye apothecary, all people who might potentially have either information or the ability to aid in the coming mission. As you all find yourselves back at the Bloody Claymore Tavern, it's round about 6, 7 in the evening. Night has fallen, the streets are beginning to get darker, lanterns are being lit on some of the more main thoroughfares, but the narrow alleyways that run throughout the town, especially in the lower southern quarter of the town, are dark and unlit. What would you like to do?
So we all meet up back at the tavern, yeah.
I would say you're not necessarily in the tavern at this point. You're kind of meeting outside and in the sort of quiet street outside, and you can decide whether or not to head in and go from there.
Okay, well, I feel like if we're meeting up out there, Glut, shows up with the leather armor still getting held above their heads, absolutely, dripping with sweat, and, upon seeing Zell, just unceremoniously, dumps the leather armor, on the floor. Just panting and heaving, just like, I got you the armor!
Zell is vibrating with excitement because she can't wait to tell the rest of the campaign, her companions, who she spoke to. But she's very grateful for the armor, and she picks it up. It was leather studded armor, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I'll add it to my inventory. So she's gonna throw that on. Well, she's gonna go back up to her room and throw it on. But yeah, so she'll be like, "Oh, thank you so much. You guys are never gonna guess what happened."
What?
So the person that I spoke to, her name was Tatiana.
Who's that?
I knew this was the reaction we would get from clues.
I thought
I literally
Tiana
have
was
no
something
idea.
made up.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But obviously there might have been some truth to it, although I will admit she did not look like the kind of person who would be bringing anyone to their knees with a war cry, but you just never know.
Oh, she like some sort of warrior type?
Yeah, remember the story you made up, Glute?
Story I made up.
To get us in the town?
Oh no, that wasn't that. That actually happened. That was not. Oh, her. Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, she's the
a
crone who
mess.
manages the apothecary I went to. Anyway, she's going to put the word out about there being a happening tonight by the temple. She's going to whisper that part.
Okay, so before we get this thing at the temple going on, we should probably secure ourselves some kind of disguise for being able to sneak in once all the guards sneak out. So I have a plan, and I'm gonna need you two just to kind of shut up and do as I tell you, basically. Zale, I'm gonna start like walking towards the alleyway, like beckoning for my two companions to follow me.
Okay.
Malcolm, what kind of time is it roughly?
Right now it's just a little bit after 6. The sun is set,
After 6.
and it's still busy in the main streets, but things are getting a bit quieter.
Okay, so, Boglak, actually, how did your meeting with the priest of the temple go?
It was good. I think there's going to be a ring of a bell. We'll pretend it's boarded up, and the priest wanted to stay. That's the only worry I have. So we'll just need to make sure that we off this plan without a hitch. Don't want any innocents dead, especially not one from my clan.
No, definitely.
Absolutely.
Did he say anything about when he's going to ring this bell?
See Boglath sort of pause for a minute and say, we didn't iron out too many details, but these things, I think,
Well,
bell will ring and then we'll move.
I was going to say, I guess we could head up to the castle and then wait for the bell to ring. And then hopefully that will draw people out and we can go in.
Yes.
I honestly believe that we should try and be able to formulate some information of the castle, or even be able to get like outfits to not blend in where they before we head to the castle to begin with, because the moment they see our faces, they know us. You know, this place isn't this isn't in a huge populated area, and we're all three newcomers, so we're gonna stick out here. So,
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
okay, in which case, you know what? Yeah, come with me. And I'm going to lead them to. It was called the Goat's Eye Lane, I believe it was. Yes, which is like a dingy, old, rundown, seedy-looking lane. If anything dodgy is going to happen, it's happening in this lane. So, how wide would you say it is from wall to wall, Malcolm?
About 20 feet across.
About 20 feet across. Okay, perfect. And then how deep into it before it gets to that kind of wall where it meets like the barricade of the outer like garrison unit?
Well, hang on, I'm just gonna. So the bit that you're on is kind of like the Goat's Eye lane is kind of a lane that runs along parallel to the main wall, and it's not particularly near any kind of garrison points. But you can tell from your checkout earlier on, you're able to tell that it's regularly patrolled by small units of guards who walk along its length. So it's kind of like a narrow path with a couple of different streets branching off of it. It seems to be essentially the back of a lot of other main streets.
Okay, so in which case I want to go to where this lane this kind of intersects with like that quieter street area. And is there any way that someone could gain roof access? Is there any like buildings that are quite low down, or any barrels we could climb across? Anything that would give us access to the roof?
You could get to the roofs quite easily around here. Quite a few of the buildings have like quite low sagging roofs, or are segmented with smaller kind of parts of the roof jutting out. So by clambering on top of there's an old kind of wagon pushed up against one wall, which appears to be rotting but would probably hold your weight. You could scramble up from there.
Okay. All right. So if the thing is, if we execute this plan now, there's kind of no turning back here, guys. So is there any other final preparations you need to go, or can I start running through this plan now?
I just need to change my armor. But apart from that, we're good.
Like shrugs off like their big coat and just like holds it in front of Zale like you know, like the curtains you get at a changing room, just like one of them.
Perfect, Zell.
It covers maybe about 70% of you. Like probably everything from like your shoulder blades of is still showing because obviously Glut
Your
is
hands
still
just
quite
like-
small. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
reaching up as high as I
that's
can, but that's like halfway to her chest at best.
Yeah, Zell's like, good enough. Starts taking off clothes. She's not shy.
All right, so Boglock.
Hmm?
Any last things we need to discuss before we get this show on the road?
Don't think so. We should probably get a move on, seeing as the bell could ring at any time, which I didn't really mean to add a time crunch element to this plan. But, you know, it'll keep us moving and stuff.
Friend, that's where the fun comes from. So I'm gonna hold my clasped hands out for Zell and say, all right, Zell, I need you on the roof for this.
Fab. Okay. Yep.
And like Charlie's Angels, I just want to try and like chuck her up onto the ceiling, like from a clasped hands position.
What, without climbing? If you want to do kind of like a jump up, Zell, can you give me an acrobatics check as you kind of spring upwards, sort of lightly onto this low-hanging roof?
21.
Oh,
You see Glut like clasp her hands like that, and then you just like take a few light steps. Glut, it almost feels like a leaf brushed your palm as a momentary graze of the boot against your skin, and then Zell has flown up into the first kind of level of this building. You can see that the building stretches up above you, but you're on a slope of the roof that runs up about kind of 15 feet up towards another little bit of wall that runs up, and then there's another level of the roof above that. So you've got, right now you're sitting at around 10 feet above the street below.
okay.
Perfect.
Zell, I need you up there, and once we lure these guards here, I'm just gonna ask you to start prepping them with arrows. I'll shout your name when the time is right, okay?
She's gonna pull her bow out and be like, I'll be ready.
All right, Boglock, come with me. So where the alley intersects with the streets, I'm going to drop my pack and start pulling up my bear traps. I'm going to ask Boglock to help them set me up. Just about five sort of meters inside the alleyway. Enough that it's not immediately on the street level, but not far into it.
That's good. I'll help out.
So I've got 5 bear traps. I'd like to set the bear traps all along kind of edge to edge. Almost like there's a kind of like a wall of bear traps every kind of 4 feet. And then is there like any like dirt or refuse or anything I could use to try and hide the traps a little bit?
So you could... There's plenty of like garbage around, old planks, bits of a kind of... a lot of refuse in terms of like stuff that's been thrown at chamber pots. It would be very visible that someone had kind of dragged this stuff out into like little points on the road to cover things, though.
Okay, that's fine. I so long as it's not immediately obvious, I just need them to be distracted for a moment so they don't see it. So I'm gonna start. I'm just gonna start covering it literally in shit.
And there's plenty of that around here. You get the impression that this alley has become kind of a dumping ground for some of the cleaner streets in the area, so you're able to just scoop up handfuls or bucketfuls of this stuff. You don't really know what it is. It could be mud, it could be something else, and start like packing that on, covering up the traps.
I will politely ask Boglag that he does not need to help with this part of the plan, and I'm happy literally getting my hands dirty.
Boglach is gonna chop the sleeves and be like, child's play, and just start really getting almost too deep in there at times, and just like no reaction to it, just like
Glut really appreciates this enthusiasm. Glut really appreciates that. All right, Boglag. So I don't know how you can turn into an animal. I think it's really cool. I wish I could do it. But I'm gonna need you to turn into an animal for me, okay?
What kind of animal?
Unfortunately, that's gonna kind of be a bit. I'm just gonna need you to go off my signal, okay? It will be clear what I need from you, but it will work best if you just go off my signal because I'm not sure it's gonna resonate well with these guards.
I feel like while all this is going on, Zell's just crouched on the ceiling, like above you guys, like, I'm here, guys. Listening.
Okay, so Boglack, you'll transform when you hear a very clear sign, and Zell, you wait for your name, okay?
Waiting for my name. Got it.
And then I'd like to go back out into the sort of quieter part of the alley and see if there's any patrols.
As you head out, can you just give me a clear picture of exactly how many and where these traps are placed?
So I think I would kind of, so I'd have Boglak standing back. So like if you're turning onto the alley, you'd have the 5 bear traps between Boglak and like the lip of the alleyway basically.
And each trap is covered in kind of a general detritus.
Yeah, and I would have them almost in, if you're looking at it from the alleyway, it'd be like a capital M shape. So like one forwards, one kind of behind, the other one diagonally forward, other one kind of behind. So they're not in a straight line, but they are kind of spread out a little touch.
Cool. Can you give me a sleight of hand check just to see how well you've kind of covered the traps as well?
Yeah, that is a 14.
14. Excellent. It will just come into play from perception point of view as the guards approach. But right, you are all set. What do you want to do? You're looking for guards?
So I'm on the quieter part of the street looking for any small patrols.
That area, you're looking out into the road ahead, and at first, no sign of anything. After a little while, you hear distantly the tramp of quite heavy metallic boots. You've come across a couple of the other guards around, not the ones who are wearing the silver thistle, but just the kind of standard street guards. And when you do see them, they seem to be wearing kind of slightly tattered leather armor. You hear what sounds like people in plate armor approaching. And in the distance, coming around the corner into the alley, you see 3 very well armored guards. They look a little bit awkward in their armor. It's evidently like these are like beautiful new sets of plate armor that they're wearing, and you can see that they each have the silver thistle pinned on, holding in place the cloak, which is distinctive of the City Watch. So these are evidently City Watch members who have quite kind of closely allied themselves with the silver thistle.
Okay, when I see when I see them, I'm gonna kind of like. So they're walking towards the lip of the lane that we're in, yeah?
Absolutely.
How far away are they when they turn that corner to where I see them?
From where you can see them, they're about 65 feet away.
Okay, so when they're about 60 feet away, I'm going to pull out one of my daggers and just slice my arms a few times, slice my hands, slice like my thighs. I want to cover myself in small, shallow lacerations.
Okay, you absolutely can do that.
So I'm visibly bleeding, but it's nothing too deep. So can I just, I don't know, like roll 2d6 damage for that or something?
So I've just wrote it there. So that's going to be 11 points of
11. Okay,
piercing or slashing.
That's fine. Okay, so like it's nothing too rough, but I'm quite clearly bleeding right now. So
100%.
I assume while I'm doing that, they'll get a little bit closer.
They're just continuing. You can hear them talking in low voices. You get the impression they haven't actually looked up and seen you yet. They're kind of in conversation amongst themselves.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw the literally just holster again my weapons and then almost like kind of like stumble around the corner and like fall on like my face and like struggle to get up and fall again before like making a very clear scene that I'm trying to run away from something.
As you stagger around the corner, can you give me a performance check?
I can give you a performance check. Fuck. I'm not one.
You come staggering around the corner, dripping with blood, and you do your best impression of someone fleeing from some kind of attack. The guards pull up, and after a moment, one of them goes, "Are you drunk?"
I'm gonna try. Well, actually, Glut thinks they gave off the most convincing performance ever. So, with fear in their voice, going to say, "Please, you have to help me. It's a werehaggis."
A werehaggis? Oh God, you've had one too many at the bloody. Oh, hold on, you're looking pretty bloody yourself. You're gonna waltz over and they're kind of coming towards you as if to kind of appraise your condition. Are you letting them come over?
Yeah.
They come up, one of them sort of leans in close. He's kind of a scraggly ginger beard stuffed in under this sort of gleaming new helmet, which is pressed down over his ears. He goes, "You're right, lassie, you look like you've been through the mill."
It's the vicious creature, it's a werehaggis. It's in the alley. Please go kill it.
Oh God. I don't think you've had a run-in with a werehaggis. Have you gone through a window or something? You can just tell us if...
No, please, look. I'm gonna start hobbling over towards the alley, limping towards it.
You're kind of One of them kind of suppresses a laugh, the other like sighs a little bit wearily. They're not remotely convinced by this idea, but they seem to think you're drunk more than anything else. They begin to kind of like follow slowly. You can hear the bearded one going, "Right, steady on. Listen, if you have broken a window, it's fine, but I am gonna have to write you up for it."
Broke anything. Please believe me. And as I get to the lip of the alley, I'm gonna just point at Boglak and just say, "Look, it's right there."
Boglak, are you? What are you doing?
I feel like seeing these guards come round, and have I heard like Gloot say where haggis?
This is all kind of echoing round. You can hear the voices getting closer.
As that's happening, Boglak is like, right, where haggis? I can do this. As like Pointed kind of gets a little bit of stage fright. I'll just pick out one of the guards and kind of stare at them and go, "Yes, fear me. My kind will defeat you all." And then I'll wild shape into a haggis.
And as he wild shapes into haggis, I want to go for like a, like a Nightmare on Elm Street 2, just like a like a proper like horror movie scream.
As you let out this ear-splitting scream as Boglak transforms into, after a very like unconvincing line, transforms into haggis, there's a moment of stunned silence from the guards, and one of them goes, "Fucking hell, it's actually a were haggis!" And you hear the swords ringing from their scabbards as they draw their blades. Can you all roll initiative?
12. 14 for me.
22.
I am. Oh, 20.
Nice.
See, I just put too much effort into my scream, so I'm just a little bit slow to react to things.
I love this kind of B horror feel to it.
Oh my god!
Haggis.
Night of the Living Haggis!
A big cloaked Boglak like, "Fear me now."
And what I love to think is that Boglak's obviously a big guy, and the haggis is so much of a less intimidating form.
Like a crack of lightning, and like the haggis goes into its hind legs, so that.
At the top of the round is Zell. Zell, you've seen all of this play out, and I'm just going to put you guys on the map so you can all see where everyone is, and you can see kind of the plan taking shape, but it's entirely up to you what you do.
At the moment, Zell is going to do nothing because she's not had the signal yet from Gloot to do anything. So she's hiding on the roof, but still kind of watching what's going on. But she's not going to actually do anything yet until she gets her signal.
What you could do is do a hold action. So you decide what you would do when you hear the signal, and when you hear the signal, your reaction would be to take that action.
Okay. Well then, yeah. Well, once she hears the signal, she's gonna be. How many of the guards are there again? 3.
There's 3, yeah.
Perfect. So she's gonna pick 2 of them and rain arrows down on them is the plan.
In that case, you crouch in position, arrow notched, ready to go. You see the guards drawing their swords as this terrifying were-haggis appears at the other end of the alley. They don't appear to have noticed the sort of piles of rubbish that are scattered around the alleyway. It's already a pretty messy, dense space, and so their eyes are fixed solely on Boglak at the moment. Next up is Boglak.
Yeah, Boglak is going to continue. I don't know. I think I'll try and draw the guards towards me. I'm not going to charge forward because obviously there are traps. So yeah, I think I'll just do what haggises do best. I'll just run in like a circle and like, I don't know, like, can't think of the word, like.
Let out an intimidating roar.
Yeah. The most intimidating snort you've ever heard. It's like, and I'm staring right at one of them.
Can you give me an intimidation check?
Of course.
Oh, I really hope you roll high for this, just for the amusement of this guard being terrified.
Nat 20. Oh, Nat 20 minus 1 for 19. That was like a roller coaster of excitement there for a second. So Nat 20, but not a Nat 20.
Let out this like throaty little like and start just like running in circles at the end of the alleyway. There's a moment of stunned silence, and then one of the guards goes, "This is above my pay grade," and starts trying to like shift away. The ginger bearded one turns around and goes, "Samuel, stand your ground." And you can see they're all like sweating profusely, and they begin to like edge slowly along the alleyway, like swords held up, but they look completely out of their depth in this situation. You can imagine these guys have been fed on stories of like terrifying werewolves ever since the Silver Thistle arrived, and now there's a Lycan in front of them doing something, and they're like, oh, fuck. Anything else you want to do, Boglack?
No, I don't think so. I think just continue to try and draw them down the alleyway.
In that case, next up is the one who was tempted to run but has kind of steadied himself. He is going to start moving forward, and he is going to he runs to here, and as he's like running forward, like, you know, trembling and hurrying across the alleyway, his foot just kicks into this pile of kind of rags and dirt on the ground. You hear a loud and he lets out a high-pitched scream, staggers slightly, and you see the jaws of this bear trap have snapped up out of the refuse, closing around his ankle. They're not doing that much damage because of the plate armor, but you can see he's kind of like staggering and now like has stopped to try and like bend down and free himself. He is going to take 3 points of piercing from that trap, and he's going to just spend the rest of his turn bending down and kind of extricating himself from the trap, doing nothing else that turn. The ginger-bearded individual, who seems to have taken a kind of leadership role, is also going to run forward. He is going to... he does not see the traps either. He runs forward, and again you hear that as he kind of like staggers slightly, getting to about here, and clutches down at his foot. Unlike his companion, he continues to like drag himself forward at... he's also taking 3 piercing at half speed, just getting himself to here, as with this like hunk of metal clinging to his leg, he continues valiantly trying to press ahead. Next up is Glut.
So I feel like I'm quite intimidated by the werehaggis at this point. I'm like fuck, like geez, like maybe Boglak isn't on our side at this point. Maybe he is just genuinely a terrifying creature now. So I'm going to go up to this guard here, and just be like, please, like, you need to help me, like, I don't know what to do. And I'm gonna like I'm gonna try and grab them and start like pushing them towards Boglak, like stand behind them while just continuously try to like push them forwards.
He doesn't resist that. He's on his turn, he will be moving that way anyway, and so with a sort of a deep shaky breath, he goes, okay, come on, you've got this, and he's going to he starts moving ahead as you push him along. Are you trying to push him into one of the bear traps?
I am trying to push him into one of the bear traps, yes, or at least guide him towards it.
Ooh, yes, you kind of, so all of them right now, because of that intimidation check, they all have disadvantage on perception because all of their focus is on this kind of terrifying thing. So he would have actually made it for once, but on the disadvantage he fails, and you're able to just like kind of catapult him forward, and his foot clang into one of the traps. Another snap, he lets out a cry, drops his sword for a moment, and kind of crunches down on the ground. He takes 2 points of piercing damage. You can kind of like drag him to about here, and you can see that he's now going to spend the rest of his turn, if you let him, just trying to get the trap off his leg.
Yeah, well, I feel like that would be my action, and then I'm just going to say, oh, geez, if only Zell was here, she could deal with the werehaggis.
Just before we go on, Glue, are you happy with your positioning there? Do you want to move at all?
Nah, I because it's double movement for me to push someone like that. That is all my movement. And I feel like my action would be my shove. So after I say that to Zell, I end my turn.
As a reaction, Zell, you're able to fire in. Who are you targeting?
Sorry, hang on. So I get 2 attacks per action. So the first action is going to be focused on the red guy who's further forward. Oh, hang on. I'm just trying to see how far away I am.
Oh, you're well within range.
Oh, I'm perfect. Okay, so yeah, she is gonna draw her bow and fire an arrow straight at him. She's probably gonna send 2 in really quick succession. So it's 2 attacks. So the first arrow is 24 to hit.
It absolutely hits. Just cast don't.
And it causes 5 piercing damage. And then the second one is 15 to hit.
That will hit. 15 is the AC.
Perfect.
Nice.
And that one's causing 10 piercing damage. So just 2 arrows in quick succession.
His eyes
the
are
red guy.
focused solely on the haggis, and as he drags himself forward, clanking the metal along, trapped around his foot, these 2 arrows just striking into the little chink below the helmet and above the neck. He staggers, blood pouring down the front of his breastplate, and crumples to the ground dead.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, awesome.
Beautiful.
For my next turn.
Oh, no, that was your. You only had that attack action.
Oh, I thought I had. Oh, yeah, I did. So never mind. That's fine.
No problem at all.
Okay, cool.
Next
waiting.
up, Blue kind of staggered. They're kind of rapidly trying to come to terms with the situation. The gentleman who was shoved forward by Glut looks up, kind of eyes wide, sees his companion go down with arrows sticking out of his neck, and goes, "Render attack! Render attack!" And kicks off the metal from his foot, blood kind of spraying out of the sort of gaps in the plate armor around his leg, draws his sword. He is clearly not entirely sure where the arrows came from, and so he is just going to start sprinting across the space towards the haggis. He is leaving Glute space if Glute wants to take an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like as they're running away, there's like a glint in Glut's eye, just like a sadistic smile covers their face as another successful ambush just went off without a hitch. And as they're running away, I'm gonna like unsheath diplomacy and go for like a downward strike in the same motion, and that is a 16 to hit. So that deals 13 damage.
13 damage. Diplomacy is your greatsword, is that right?
Yes, diplomacy is my greatsword.
Beautiful. How are you doing that?
I feel like is this, would this drop him to 0?
Yes, we're dropping to 0.
I am going to, instead of going for like a slice, I'm going to hit him with the flat of the blade and just knock him out.
Absolutely.
It's like a bone crunching, like almost like anvil hitting someone's head in a cartoon, kind of like big red lump appearing at the top of their head. The helmet gets lifted up their head a little bit. Just a big fat bonk on the top of the head.
In his mind, he is doing like a dramatic final charge towards the intruding lichen that's broken into his town. He raises his sword and begins to sprint forward, and then bang, and just like staggers straight onto the ground. He's out. That ends Blue's. Just dropped on my dice. That ends Blue's turn, and next up is Zell, back to the top of the round.
Perfect. Yeah, she's just gonna send 2 arrows at the green guy since he's still up and about. So, let me see. First one's a 24 to hit again, which deals 11 piercing damage. And she's aiming for the exact same spot again.
Are you trying to do lethal or non-lethal? Or are you trying to just take them out?
Just trying to take him out, but I was going to do 2 because I didn't think 11 would do it.
Is it 11 to hit? That will miss, I'm afraid.
No, it was 24 to hit and 11 damage.
11 does it.
Oh, nice. Okay, so just the one then. And then she's going to attempt a majestic forward flip off the roof.
Oh, hell yeah.
You fire that arrow, and before Green has even hit the ground, you dive off the roof. Can you give me an acrobatics check?
I can. Oh no. 7.
You forward flip off the roof, and there's just a beautiful moment as you arc, almost like cat-like, through the air, somersaulting down, and then you just by a tiny bit misjudge the distance, and your heel kind of just turns as you hit the ground, and you go stumbling sideways, cracking your jaw off the side of one of the barrels nearby, and you take You're going to take 4 bludgeoning damage as your face kind of strikes into the side of the wood. You don't go fully onto the ground, but you're kind of like correct yourself, like pain throbbing in the side of your face.
Yeah, she's gonna like stagger to her feet and be like, "That looked cooler in my head."
Zell, you are back on your feet. Is there anything else you want to do?
At this point, no. I'm gonna kind of hang back and see what the others do. I'll move myself onto the ground.
Perfect. Next up is Boglach.
I think Boglach is riding high off, like, really, the acting this time has really gone incredibly well. Like, Boglach is sort of, riding that wave. Is gonna sort of step forward and, like, drop wild shape towards. There's only one guard, I believe, still conscious.
Oh, there's only
He's
one left,
unconscious.
and he's kind of like stunned on the ground at the moment. He is like cognizant of his surroundings, but he's basically unable to move.
Boglach is going to start as a haggis walking forward and then slowly transform back into Boglach's shape. Boglach is going to look straight at that guard, just say, Lycans will strike tonight at the church. And it's going to be bad. It's going to be so many haggis. You might be seeing double now. You'll be seeing quintuple, at least. And like, it's going to do a big dramatic like flare of like the cloak that Boglach wears. Kind of very like, I don't know, Boglach's like living his best, acting dream at the moment. It's like, I'm just like a superstar. In his mind, maybe he says that out loud. Like, I'm just like a superstar. I mean, the Lycans will strike.
Love the idea that Boglach can't quite differentiate between inner monologue and outer sometimes. It's like, I'm a superstar.
It's very powerful. Never has so much intimidation been exceeded by Boglach, who has -1, so it's not very intimidating at the best of times.
As you're saying that, the guard is like lying on the ground, like stunned, just eyes wide as this figure walks towards them out of the gloom, transforms into a humanoid form again, and delivers this intimidating message, slightly confusing and intimidating message. You just hear him go, "Oh, fate save me," and kind of he's like trying to push himself up slightly, but he's just too weak to do so.
I'm just gonna say, fates won't save you, because that's where we're striking.
Oh God! It covers his face. This guy is he's broken.
Now, take off your armor and then run away.
No problem, mate. No problem. You're gonna drive
every piece, the boots and the cloak as well.
It's all yours. I didn't want to anyway. And he kind of like, he starts, if you allow him to, he will start trying to drag himself up onto his feet. You can see, even as he's like pushing himself off the ground, he's like tugging at buckles and pulling bits of the armor off.
Glut will not let them.
Or do you push him back down?
Glut will, as they're starting to get up, will basically grab them by the scruff of the neck and drag them till they're above one of the bear traps, and with both hands force their head down so they're inches off of the pressure plate that would snap the jaws of the bear trap around their head, and just whisper in their ear, "I've got a few questions for you, and I think it's best for both of us if you answer truthfully and wholeheartedly. Do I make myself clear?"
I never lie. I'm a great believer in the truth.
Then you and I will get on just fine. So, the castle, tell me, how many men are guarded there tonight?
Oh, I don't know exactly, I swear, but at least 13, 15 folk. That's just the thistles. There's plenty of us. The lesser thistles, probably around a dozen or so.
Okay. Where are the keys kept for the cells?
2 sets of keys. The jailer has one. He'll be in the jailer's office down in the dungeon. The other's in Captain Carlaw.
Okay. Are there any structural weaknesses of the castle? Any places that'd be easier to strike? Any blind spots on the battlements? Anything that can help someone sneak in?
Oh, honestly, I don't know. I'm city watch. I break up fights. I don't really spend that much time in the castle. It's only been the last couple of weeks that they've been training us up.
I'm going to ask you if you can just really try and think a bit more clearly about your answer. And I'm going to start slowly pushing his head down.
As he's sort of muttering and gibbering, and then as his nose is like almost touching the plate, he goes, "There's a well! There's a well! And the main courtyard. I don't know how deep it goes, but I know that there's meant to be some kind of water system underneath the castle. It runs out into the loch. It might be connected to something. I don't know."
Okay, that's great. I have one last question, then we can end this conversation.
Anything.
Do you partake in hunting?
Hunting? What kind of hunting do you mean?
Just hunting of any creatures of the wilds.
No, not really. Honestly, my dad always told me I should be out on the trails. He was a trapper himself first, but I never went in for it much. I was more of a city boy myself. The only thing I usually hunt is a good pint, eh? Oh, please don't kill me.
Glut lets them go.
Let the hand off the back of his head, and you kind of like, almost like a man pulling his head out of water, kind of like heaves back, gasping and panting, and sort of slumps against one of the nearby walls. You can see just sweat pouring down his face. Just, I swear, I'm sorry about all this. I shouldn't have signed up. They were just offering good gold, and I thought it was a good chance to get ahead in my career.
Okay, you do one last thing. You tell them that when the bell rings, there'll be a rebellion. You convince them. You better hope to whatever god you believe in that they believe you, because if not, you will not be sleeping a single peaceful night, because I will be out there hunting you down, and I will not stop. I will not rest. I will not even take solace in the murder of your two friends until I have your head in a fucking spike. Do I make myself clear?
There is a long silence. He's gone completely white, very, very pale. This kind of clammy sweat over his face. Very clear. Very clear.
Good.
I'll do whatever you say. Where do you want me to tell people to go? Where's the rebellion breaking out?
Tell your friends at the castle that the rebellion will be happening when the church bells ring at the Temple of the Old Fates.
Temple of the Fates, church bells ring. Okay. Okay. And then I will never wear the thistle again. I will leave town. I will never hunt or anything like that. I will just drink myself to an early grave.
I think that sounds for the best. And I plant a kiss in his cheek.
Vinces back from you and then goes, "Do you still want the armor?"
Yes.
Oh, okay. And his very, very trembling hands begins to pull off these heavy pieces of plate armor, placing them down. These are all kind of, you can see he didn't really get much wear and tear out of them. They're basically brand new. He kind of plops them down on the ground. He's just wearing like a light kind of white undershirt and sort of dirty brown breeches underneath, leather, essentially sort of leather inner undershoes. Right, how do you want me to explain this? Because they're going to have some questions.
Yeah, you guys are more like the people here. I'm gonna step back and just start collecting my bear traps.
Just say you were ambushed in an alley. Pretty much what happened.
Okay, ambushed by, is there a rebellion or something? Is that what I'm to tell them?
Yes,
Okay,
the rebellion.
Ambushed by rebels, bells at the Temple of the Fates. I've got it.
You didn't get a good look at us.
I didn't see anything. All I saw, can I say I saw a haggis?
Yes,
Okay.
A were-haggis.
Were-haggis.
a were-haggis.
Terrifying were-haggis. Okay. Thank you for letting me live. I will remember your kindness, but not your faces. And he turns and begins just sprinting off up the alleyway in his as he's running, like more mud is like spraying up onto his already slightly kind of soiled undergarments as he sprints off round out of sight.
Zelle's going to turn around and pull her arrows out of the necks of the people she killed.
Glut is gonna look them, see if they have any keys, any documentations, anything that might be helpful, anything that could, glean any information about the silver thistles from the bodies. Or
Absolutely. Give me an investigation check as you start kind of quickly going over them.
Oh, yikes. That was a 12.
You find, collecting off the 2 bodies, you find 18 gold pieces, which is pretty good money for like City Watch to be carrying. Obviously, in addition to the little silver brooches, you also find on one of them a crumpled up piece of parchment, which has been printed with a kind of almost like a schedule of training sessions. It looks like these guards have had daily training sessions every morning, and they've got this kind of they're almost like their lesson planner for the training sessions they've been in at the castle.
Okay, I'm gonna split the gold into 2 even piles and give them to Boglak and Zell. And by even piles, I mean Boglak gets 10 gold pieces and Zell gets 2 gold pieces, and then I keep the other gold pieces.
I think
Great.
you
I owe you for the armor anyway.
Nah. Oh, you want to barter with me right now? I drive a mean deal.
Yeah, I've heard.
As you hand over the gold, I think Boglach is gonna say to you, Glut, like, done that before, haven't you?
Yeah, a couple times.
It's more than a couple.
Really impressive.
Yeah, no, I think that was a plan well executed. That was three parts teamwork and one part luck, and then 1 part scary werehaggis. I'm not gonna lie, man, that was terrifying. I was scared of the werehaggis.
Boglach is like, there's a wee smile, and it's like, and kind of goes serious again, and it's kind of like, I get really into ambushes, I'm always a little more cautious of. I'm glad that you had the last one go away. It's never good to take a life, and in the circumstances that yours is threatened, but your tone at
Plus,
the end
he's
there
going to tell
was,
the others about the rebellion, so...
it's just a good companion, Glut, but you're also a little bit of a mystery still to me, and I was impressed, but also a lot of anger at the end there.
Don't worry, I'm harmless. And I'm gonna go and start collecting my bear traps again.
Your blood.
Don't know anything about you, Glut.
My bloodstained bear
You're
traps.
harmless.
The 2 that never got triggered, I'm gonna trigger them by stepping on them.
Lex is just like, maybe.
Normal Glut is back.
And that would
Boglach
be
is like,
5 points of piercing damage.
Wonderful. Okay. So I get my 5 bear traps back. Do you guys want to kind of take their cloaks or their brooches or anything? The whole point of this was so that you guys kind of look the part. Unfortunately, I think, I gesture to my size and then the size of the armor. I don't really think they come in gnome size.
yeah, I mean, it was 3. I'm guessing it was 3 humans that were patrolling. It seems very annoying. It's probably too small for me to an extent. Like 7 foot. Were any of them 7 foot?
None of them were 7 foot, but the armor is, because it's plate armor, you can kind of structure around yourself so that you can kind of essentially its size is based partly on how tight you're buckling it around you. So you could probably scale it up quite easily for a bigger person. Glut, you probably could strap on some pieces. The problem is when it comes to like the legs and the arms, you are going to look a little bit out of place.
Zell's probably just going to take like the breastplate bit and keep her arms and shoulders like free so that she can still use arrows and stuff. And then she'll put one of the cloaks over.
Glut's probably not going to bother even if it would. I think Glut's pretty convinced. Because Glut also thinks they're smaller than what they actually are as well. So Glut like believes himself to be like 4 feet tall. Because they believe they're a gnome. So Glut's gonna be like, nah, that's way too big for me.
I guess Boglach will put on the full set of armor, which
Boglach
I
is
imagine will
full plate armor.
heavily restrict what Boglach can do, seeing as they cannot feel like medium armor is height of what Boglach could wear. So Boglach sort of slumps and is like, I don't know, looks very uncomfortable.
No, it's a temporary measure.
And Zell will take one of the silver thistle brooches and put it on the cloak that she's taken as well.
Okay, so how long does setting up this ambush and this ambush take us to? What time is it now?
I'd say after all of that and then recap afterwards, it's probably around about 7 o'clock in the evening.
7 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. I still need to wait a small while for my punch and daggers to be ready. This I know I said it before, but the Temple of the Fates could go at any moment, especially with us sending that soldier back. Is there any last minute things any of you guys can think of that we could get done before we try and get this show on the road?
I think Boglach is going to go, again, really straining under the weight of it. He's going to go heavy breathing. Maybe if we're... Sorry, it's just it's incredibly heavy. maybe if we're strapped on time, we could take somebody's cart. I mean, we are kind of guards now. We could just be like, halt. We need to. I forget the word. I've never had to do it, so the word skips my mind. But when you just take,
Apprehend?
I know, no, not apprehend. It's like you just like take. Yeah. Just like I command that I take your cart and
or
important guard business.
And threaten them with crucifixion if they fail to comply.
We
No,
don't.
I think
the
usually you
Silver
just say
Thistle
they're-
actually crucifies. Just we're the law. We need the cart. They'll give it to us, right?
Yeah, but I'm pretty
Okay.
sure if you look at like the history of the people that enforce laws, they were the ones doing most of the crucifying. So I'm just trying to get in character here.
I mean, we don't need to get fully in character. I'm just saying, like, could just again, it's really, and you've only put on the breastplate. I see, Zell. Like that's really nice. He's-
I want to leave my arms free because I might need to shoot arrows. It looks really cumbersome on
just
you.
sweating inside this.
Imagine there's like those helmets where you can put the thing up and down, and it like keeps falling down a wee bit. It's like you can't quite get to the click in place, and it's like, yes, commandeer. That's the word. Oh, it took me ages. Commandeer a vehicle.
Zell's gonna pick up one of the helmets and be like, "I'll put this on like when we leave the alleyway. I'll stretch myself to a helmet when we leave the alleyway."
I put this on, and as soon as we walk out of here, they're like, "That's just 3 people pretending to be guards." This is going to take at least 10 minutes to take off, I imagine, maybe more. These buckles.
Do you want to take any of it off? Because you're kind of covered under the cloak anyway.
Meaning I don't need to wear.
I don't think you need to wear it all if you don't want to.
Yes,
You look like you're struggling, man.
In my head, this looked a lot cooler than what it did. Nothing against you. I think maybe this. I think Zell's onto something. I think just the cloak and the little badge is more than enough because, like, I think you stick out even more because man, you're sweating. Like there's a puddle at your feet already.
Yeah, you do not look like you've been wearing this for long, and
you do
do
not.
not look like you've been through any training while wearing this.
And we've been standing still. How are you sweating this much? We've not even moved.
The puddle was already in this alleyway. It's
I
already
have to go uphill to the castle. It's not going to be a fun walk.
Wait, uphill? That's why we need a cart. Hey, hold on. And then Boglach.
Time here, guys.
Boglach is going to, maybe inspired by the bell ringing any second, is going to very slowly start unbuckling.
Yeah, Glut's gonna grab one of their little hand axes and just start like slashing away at the leather straps, which like hold it in
How
place.
much of the plate are you keeping on? Or are you getting rid of all of it?
Glut did not think to ask and is gonna try and just start cutting off all the fastenings.
I think yeah, all the plate comes off, and like Boglach takes the cloak, kind of puts it round, puts on the thing, and kind of goes, I mean to say that we ambushed 3 guards just for you're wearing a breastplate, you're wearing some of the art. Seemed like
We've got the
Anyway.
brooches that say we're part of the Silver Thistle. That's what we needed.
We got
Maybe didn't need
information.
to kill people for it.
We got information, and to be fair, two dead thistles now is 2 less to stop us later.
True.
true, and I'm glad we got the information. Anyway, I think we definitely need to go because I can't tell you. I mean, I was sweating partly because of that armor, but partly because that bell could ring any second. I I had made some kind of time with the priest. I completely.
Could we not use this time that we have now while we're waiting for
Yeah,
Glute's
but the guy
stuff
might.
to be ready to go and ask the priest who said he would stay at the Temple of the Fates
But
when he plans to ring the bell?
I'm
Are we not
embarrassed
right
to go
beside the
now.
Temple of the Fates?
My fear is though is that if we show
Temple's
up and
in
it's
the
already
background of this entire conversation.
if the temple's already boarded up and we come up and knock, then maybe the priest will we could we could we could we could trigger the bell. We could trigger the bell ringing, which then would be further away. I think we should just go to the castle. Pick up.
In the temple, is there not a back entrance we can go to?
I think
boarded up
Boglak would know. Boglak was there, man. I think we just trust him on this.
I wasn't looking for back entrances to the temple. I went in the front door, had my conversation, and I left through the front door. We were
I just
wasting
think
time
we are
before the waited.
literally right beside the temple.
It's been
We
3
could
hours
have-
I've taken to take off this armor.
I think
Dawn,
Boglak's got a
look,
point. I think us getting a better position beside the castle is better than triggering the alarm now.
Okay, fine. If it's a majority vote, it's a majority vote.
Oh,
Let's
I did
just
say
go.
I did say
Oh
sundown.
my god.
I said sundown. I'm pretty sure to the priest, maybe, possibly. Let's go.
When
How
how
down
dark
the
is it
sun?
right now, Malcolm?
The sun has set.
We bear.
Gl-
Chuck,
Gl-
Chuck,
It's not insane.
Gloat realizing the sun is set and now knows that their punching daggers is ready. Like a child on Christmas, you're just gonna just sprint out the alleyway and start going towards Betterstone.
So is the plan
Oh.
to head to Bitterstone and then on up to Castle Lochilvin?
Yes.
Absolutely. You said, are you trying to commandeer a cart? Or are you
After
going by
our
foot?
half-hour conversation about what we were going to do.
I think Boglak will try and commandeer a cart because I think like time is starting to
Get
a
on.
wee bit, and if we're having to stop somewhere else, Boglak is and it's a good way to test out the disguises as well. I think to see if it's
Gloat knows
Okay,
they're
well-
faster than a car, and while they're commandeering a vehicle, or while they attempt to commandeer a vehicle, I will still just run on foot.
Yeah, Zal will stay with Boglash to commandeer the cart.
You guys see a wagon rattling down the road towards you. It appears to be a wine merchant's wagon on its way to the Bloody Claymore. There's a small, very grumpy-looking gnome sitting in the driver's seat with like a flat cap pulled down very low over his eyes and sort of curling white mustachios sticking out from under his nose. He's just like the only cart in the street right now, rattling towards you guys as you come out to the main road.
Boglak will stand in the middle of the road right in front of the cart and go, halt.
Get out of the way!
No.
Zal's going to say from the side of the road, "You must stop by order of the Silver Thistle."
Yes.
I'm just
As
trying
authoritarian as she can.
I'm trying to deliver some wine here. He kind of like brings the horse to a halt. It's a very old, tired-looking grey horse. He goes, there's no werewolves in the back of my wagon.
We've heard murmurings about a rebellion, so we
Yeah.
need to inspect all vehicles.
Maybe if you weren't such a bunch of heavy-handed pricks, there wouldn't be a rebellion. On you go.
If Boglak will like go do like open the back of the cart, kind of 2 seconds look in and then come around and go, this will not do at all. We're gonna have to take this straight for searching. Please exit your vehicle.
Yeah, can you give me an intimidation check at advantage because you are wearing the colours of the thistle?
Yeah, sure. First one. This one's a 3. But the next one, that is 16.
He kind of pauses for a moment and then he kind of looks between you and goes, I don't know what this town's coming to. I better have this back in the morning because this is meant for a delivery to the Bloody Claymore. I'm cutting the legs out from under my livelihood. And he comes down out of the wagon and goes, fine, take it. How do I get the damn thing back?
Black is going to climb on, kind of take the reins and go, you can report to castle in 2 days' time. And yeah,
2 days!
2 days, 3 days, why not? Like, I'm going to be really mean about it. A week. You won't see this for a week. And as a thistle, I don't care. You're beneath me. I hate you. I hate you personally. You're not getting your wine back. Can I commandeer another wine cart? I'm gonna give them it back in an hour. But for you personally, 10 days, 2 weeks, a month.
Zell's gonna just slide in beside Boglock silently. And then eventually she's gonna be like, look, come back to the castle in the morning. You'll have your cart. Calm down.
There's like a stunned silence, and he goes, "Oh, I'll come back to the castle. I'll come back to the castle, all right, but first, I think I need to go and have a little prayer. I am a very religious man after all." And he turns around, like pulls his cap off, and goes like stomping away in the direction of the Temple of the Fates.
Black is going to turn to Zell once the gnome has walked away and kind of go, that was awful. I mean, I really feel like, really, really awful. What the thistles are doing. I thought that would be way harder, but I don't know. There's such fear and
And he wasn't gonna get his cart back for a month. You said you hated him personally.
I wanted him to hit the thistles. We're riding along at this point, by the way, but I just wanted them to really hate the thistles. And
well, I think we've definitely got our first rebellion member. He said he was going to go pray.
I mean, the only thing I worry about is
he gets caught up
seeing
in
our
all.
faces. So even if we pull this off, maybe he'll think we're still members of the Thistle.
That'll all work itself out.
As you
I
guys
like to
are
think.
rattling uphill, you can see off in the distance a small figure just panting up the hill ahead of you. As you guys are rattling up, you're kind of coming up the long road that runs towards Bitterstone Smithy. You can see that because it took a little while to actually complete the commandeering of the cart, Glutz has got a good head start on you, and you're kind of coming alongside them just as you're kind of reaching the gateway into the smithy as Glut, like, panting is coming up. Glut, you see your companions rattling up behind you in this wagon.
Well, no, I see a cart with 2 silver thistle on it, and
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
oh fuck! I'm like, oh no, I should have stuck with them, and like as they're about to like gain on me, I'll unsheath both like my hand axes I'm holding on each hand and be like, if you want to stop me, you'll have to fucking kill me. And like spittle flying out from my mouth as I'm screaming at them, still not realizing that's my 2 companions.
I assume that Boglach is going to bring the cart to a halt, and Zell's is going to be like, Glut, it's us.
Oh, jeez. All right, unsheath my axe. Goes. Oh, okay, jeez. I was that is. You guys are a sight for sore eyes. Oh, cart. That's sweet. That's cool. I'm gonna like.
There's wine, but we can't take any because that. No, I shouldn't have said that.
I jump in the car. I immediately crack open a bottle of wine, and I've got some.
You've got some fresh bear
traps. So you already know what's gonna happen. I start pouring some of the wine on my fresh bear trap. Just like, oh, that's some good wine.
I guess
Glut,
it's medicinal.
I feel like Glut can tell a lot more about a vintage by how much it stings their bear wound traps rather than by tasting it at any point.
Glut, did you manage to get what you needed from the smithy?
Oh shit! I jump off the wagon and start heading in like another direction towards the smithy.
You find the smithy a little bit quieter than when you left it. Most of the work seems to be done for the day, and you see that there's just one forge is still glowing in the big sort of open air yard outside, and you see the dwarven woman with whom you spoke earlier kind of examining something in her hand as you're approaching. So someone goes, "Hey, you made it back!"
Hey, hi. Do you have my do you have those punching daggers?
I do indeed. You know, I was interested. I had an idea of how I could just finish them off myself. So I ended up taking on the job. We actually finished a wee bit earlier than I thought. So saw to them personally. There you are. She lays these beautiful, it's like recognizably still your punching daggers, but kind of just restructured to the point where you could essentially use them as pitons to swarm up a wall. The steel you can see has been kind of reinforced and strengthened, so that if you were able to like wedge that into the like the crack between 2 bricks, it would probably hold your weight as you pulled yourself up onto another one.
Oh, amazing! Thank you. I then reach back into my coin pouch. How much do I owe you for this again?
You already paid me.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure
Okay. Glut
you paid
definitely
me
think
more than I expected.
Glut definitely thinks that they're stealing from the shopkeeper right now, but they just don't really like want to like let them catch it. But like, oh yeah, thanks. Thanks for the really paid work. I really appreciate that.
Don't you worry about it. You see here, I added some wee leather kind of harness straps on there. You can slip them around your wrists. Should give you a little bit more security.
Fantastic. By the way, when you hear the church bells go, the Silver Thistle are going to be crucifying the man in the temple. So
What?
you might, yeah. That's what I heard. There's pretty gnarly stuff.
They're crucifying Leland
They're
Kildonis.
They're thinking of all the horrible names to call them while crucifying them.
There's this look of. Can you give me a persuasion check? Actually, I want to see how convincing this is.
To be fair, I feel like Luke genuinely does believe this.
Oh, does Gloot believe this, or is Gloot trying to send another person?
I Glut definitely like does. I think Glut believes like in essence what they're saying. They're not trying to be like deceitful or anything like that. They're just really misremembering because they're still thinking of their plan of crucifixion, but they also know that a rebellion is going on. So it's kind of just like becoming this like amalgamation, like Frankenstein story, basically of different ones stitched together.
What is your persuasion check?
My persuasion is a 12.
She pauses for a moment and goes, "Gods above. I didn't think they'd actually move against Leland. They're respected in the town, but he's lost his mind. Captain Carlaw has taken one step too far this time. Hang on." And she kind of like disappears for a moment into the yard and then steps back out carrying this enormous hammer in her two hands, kind of steps back and goes, "I think we're closing up business for the day. But always a pleasure." And she kind of slings the hammer over her shoulder and starts walking out through the gate of the yard.
Okay, have fun. Enjoy the crucifixion. And I wave at her before running back over to the cart and jumping in.
All go well.
Yeah, she seems pretty mad about the crucifixion, so
What?
yeah.
What?
The crucifixion going on at the church?
There's no crucifixion, Luke. We made that part of the plan up.
Oh.
You know what? It doesn't matter because whatever happens, it sounds like there's going to be a big kerfuffle at the church, and that's what at the temple. So that's what we need. Let's just head up to the castle.
There's going to be a lot of confusion at the temple at the very least.
We want to get as close to that castle before those bells go as possible. Although I am now mildly concerned that since it's already sundown and they haven't gone off, something went bad there, and they're not going to go off.
Oh, because I don't know if I did say that sundown was the time, so they could still
Why
be
did you
going
tell me that they said sundown when you weren't sure?
I don't know.
You guys come out into as you're kind of like sitting in the wagon and continuing up the hill, you notice that there is kind of like a flow to the traffic around you. Earlier on in the day, people were just kind of coming and going around the town, going all directions. Now, people seem to be trickling downhill. You can see small crowds of people stepping out of like taverns and drinking dens and forming little knots and beginning to drift a little bit aimlessly, but all kind of heading in the same direction down towards the Temple of the Fates. As the wagon begins to rattle uphill, you hear the thunder of hoofbeats, and looking up, you can see rattling down the highway a column of armoured men on horseback, red cloaks flowing out behind them, silver thistle emblems on their brooches, as this line just gallops past you. They don't even look towards the wagon. Heavily armed silver thistle knights, backed by what appears to be a battalion of these sort of glorified city watch, all in the sort of heavy new armour, go like rushing past, heading downhill. As they kind of like thunder by, are you guys just kind of pressing on up towards the castle?
Yeah.
Could I?
Yeah, but I think as they're seeing people go by, Zelle's gonna look back and be like, Well, I think our plan worked.
I think, Boglak is worried about a ton of armored guards getting down too quick. Can I ask a quick question? Are they riding horses at the front?
Yes.
Horses classified as beasts.
They are indeed.
I attempt to dominate beast the first horse in the column.
Absolutely. You can tell that while most of them are these like guardsmen, the two at the very front are both actual Silver Thistle knights.
Big spell, dominate beast, sorry. Just trying to get my head around it. Basically, I just kind of want to try and make the first horse in some way like suddenly come to a stop, or like, I don't know, I want to create a little bit of like a roadblock. Especially if, like, I imagine there's a lot of people going up, a lot of people coming down. Just sort of cause a bit of a slowdown to their plans.
Absolutely. Is there any check for the horse?
So it should be a wisdom saving throw. Attempt to beguile a beast that you see within range. So I guess as we're passing, it'll be 60 feet.
Oh, I mean, it rolled a 3, and a horse's wisdom is not particularly high anyway. So you are able to dominate, if you want to give it like a command as it passes you.
Yeah. Sorry, this spell is probably way too complicated for me to just be pulling it out. Yeah. It does say if you or creatures that are friendly to it are fighting it, it has advantage to the saving throw. I don't know if the horse feels like we are enemies to it yet.
Doesn't.
Just to make sure. Cool. It says the beast is charmed. A telepathic link with it as long as you two are on the same plane. Issue commands while you're conscious, no action required. Which it does its best to obey.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, from the horse's perspective, it's just riding along, and an additional kind of impulse voice has just popped into its head, and if you give this command, it will follow it to the best of its ability.
Boglak is like, right. And then it's like, wait, if I make it suddenly stop, it could get trampled, or a lot of horses involved in this. I don't care about the thistles, but I care about the horses. I think I'm going to command the horse to like take the long way to the temple, but that's basically just like ride to the right, take a couple of streets, and then go straight back like near the castle. Just completely lead astray.
As you kind of like whisper this command, you kind of like crane round at the side of the wagon, looking back towards the column, and you see one of the horses on the left with the Silver Thistle Knight on it, just like pauses for him, kind of begins to slow down, like looks down at its two hoofs, goes, and then veers to the right and just goes galloping off down one of the right-hand streets. One of the other knights goes, hold on! But as he's like shouting out, you can see the column of men behind kind of just seamlessly turn to follow their commander into the other street, and there's kind of like general confusion as some are trying to continue on to follow the one knight and others are peeling off into the side street, and you kind of that disappears round the corner as you continue on up the path.
I was just going to be like, I don't know if that will do anything at all. Kind of drops concentration on it because it's only a minute, so it's like maybe it will add, I don't know, every second could count, you know? I guess Zell doesn't know what Boglak is talking about.
Zell has no idea what Boglak is talking about. He's just like...
Boglak just turns around and goes, I could have done more, but the horses needed protecting. Anyway, let's head on.
Zell's just gonna like shake her head and just press on.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay, Boglak.
In the traditional Boglak style, that's it. I just used my only 4th level slot to do that.
And no one knows. And no one knows.
You know what? I'm playing Boglak with, I'm not min-maxing, I'm not thinking ahead. It's what Boglak would do and I wanted to do
in the moment. It feels natural.
I started caring about the horses. I'm sure certain people in the audience can appreciate that it doesn't always have to be violence.
That feels very Boglak.
It does.
Confused and a waste of resources. It does sound a wee bit.
A waste.
Empathetic. And you've also postponed that we basically created a horse jam. As you continue on, the roads are getting very quiet now. Occasionally you do see people, but the people up in these streets in the higher parts of the town, you kind of catch glimpses of them as they are disappearing into their doors, pulling doors shut, slamming shutters, pulling windows down. You get the sense that word has got around, people are battening down the hatches. And as the wagon rattles into the broad thoroughfare that runs towards the imposing gates in the massive dark stone wall of Castle Lochilvin, you hear ringing out over the town through the gathering gloom the bells of the Temple of the Fates. These bells begin to ring, at first quite slowly, long gaps between them, the sounds of the bells echoing out, but gradually with a more frantic pace building, as if someone is beginning to kind of warm up as they strike the bell. As that sound rings out, it comes to a sudden stop, and the silence that follows it seems almost more deafening than the bells would have been in the belfry down at the Temple of the Fates. You're now in your wagon, rattling sort of along the street towards Castle Lochilvin, and this would probably be a good place to take a quick break.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Wait.
Oh my god, guys, we actually made the town start a rebellion.
We're doing it.
I hope this
It's
doesn't go
getting
terribly
done.
wrong.
Jumping back in, you guys are rattling along the road towards the gates of Castle Lochilvin. Two huge wooden double doors that stand a little ajar, having just recently emitted this long column of armoured riders. You don't see any guards standing outside the gate at the moment, and the area seems to be, like the rest of the upper part of the town, very quiet. What would you like to do?
So this kind of like either side of like the opening into the castle, are they like big stone pillars, or what's the kind of like exterior of the wall like?
Curtain wall is this very brutalist, sort of 80 feet tall stone edifice, just kind of featureless flank wall running along in front of you. At either end of the wall are sort of round drum towers that rise to the same height and then a little bit further to about 90 feet up with sort of conical slate roofs. The wall then kind of like curves away on either side as well.
Okay, and they're and the wall's 80 feet high.
The wall is about 80 feet high, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the door's open.
Yeah?
And we are Silver Thistle. So, we just...
Okay, do you want to pretend that I'm some sort of captive and you're taking me to...
The dungeon?
The dungeon, and yeah, and then that kind of gives us a... And then in case anyone else is still there.
You say that you were the instigator.
Yeah?
The instigator of the rebellion.
I think I look the part.
Let's do it.
I'll give them the rope that's in my backpack.
Okay, Zell, turn around and like tie your wrists together.
And
But like fairly loose knots, so that it kind of, so you will be able to get out if you need to.
Okay. Okay.
Right now, you are in, just to remind you guys, you are in a wine merchant's wagon, which looks like a wine merchant's wagon.
Yeah, but we had to liberate the wagon.
I've got an idea with that.
Or we could just say we have a delivery of wine for the castle.
Well, I'm already tied
Or
up,
for,
and I kind of. Oh. Well, how about 2 for 1 deal? How about you were bringing this wine back, and you also citizens arrested a troublemaker. Well,
Yeah, because getting you down to the dungeon could be a good shout.
Yeah.
Seems fair.
Okay,
Boglak
let's go.
will just grab you by the scruff of your neck and lift you into the air as you're kind of tied up and just be like...
I'm kicking
you
my
won't get
legs like
away?
Scrappy Doo. Like, you know, just like... "Arrgh!"
Are
That's
you
like-
going in on
It's
foot
really-
or in the wagon?
We're in the wagon!
Staying in the
You're
wagon.
holding me over the side of the wagon.
Like, it looks intimidating if I hold you over the side of the wagon, actually.
Yeah,
Looks like
yeah,
I've been
yeah.
dragging
Does
you
it?
along.
Yeah, I'm entirely boggling this. I think that's. I'm like saying this while I'm still hanging at the edge of the wagon. I'm like, I think this looks really intimidating right now.
Well, that's going to like...
Right, majority
pull it
rule.
onto
Zell's
the,
gonna
onto
like...
the ground so there's some dust. And be like, I'll just say that I was dragging Glut along as we rolled up. That
Right,
really
Zell's gonna
sounds
kinda, like,
painful.
huff and be like, right, majority rule, and she's gonna get off the wagon and start opening the doors wider so that they can actually get in.
Kind
Jump
of,
out- You can see as you're doing that, as you come down, there's a large paved interior courtyard with a main kind of fortified keep in the center, which seems to be the main body of the castle, which is surrounded by this wall. As you kind of push the doors apart, you can see several figures moving within the courtyard, and a voice cries out, "Stop there!"
We're just bringing up some wine for the castle.
See, I'm gonna actually put you on the map. We're not in combat right now.
Okay.
But just to kind of give you guys a feel for where you are.
Very ominous line. We're not in combat right now.
Well,
I know.
Depends how you play it.
Hey, persuasion could be real high.
Obviously, we've got Zell is a little bit forward, sorting out the doors. The other two, I'd imagine, are in the wagon just sitting outside. And you can see this slightly older gentleman walking towards you, large belly straining at the plate armor he's dressed in. You can see that the various individuals standing around this space are all of the kind of like the higher up guardsmen who were described by the man you interrogated as lesser thistles. Most appear to be humanoid, except for the one standing up on the kind of the walkway above you guys, kind of overlooking the doors, who appears to be a dwarf. As you're kind of stepping through Zell, the one who walks towards you, this human figure, you sort of shining red face visible behind the half helm he wears, goes, "We're not expecting any wine, soldier. Oh, which regiment are you with?"
New recruits.
New recruits.
We're new recruits, and we also apprehended someone that we think instigated the rebellion down in the town. So we'd like to get them to the dungeon.
Bring him in. Bring him in.
Just quiet here, like the silver thistle, more like the bronze butt cheeks. Get your hands off of me, dirty swine!
You shut it. You shut it.
So Zell's gonna maybe kind of like gesture for you guys to come in on the wagon.
I'm just gonna drag in, and then like as I walk through the gates, I'll just like.
Are we leaving the wagon outside then?
Yeah, I'll like throw Glut to the ground, kind of trying to be soft about it, but maybe not, and then be like.
Glut leans into it and like forcibly like plants their head into the floor, like you hear like as like her head just like bounces off the floor. But like, if you weren't so strong and well trained and muscular, I would rip your head from your body.
See, like Boglak, as like that sound happens, it's like, oof. It's like, was that me or was that just Glut? And it's like, yeah. Well, they said they wanted to send some proper power down. I mean, look at all these. Look at all you thistles. You're just beneath me. So let's. I want to go and talk to the big head honcho. So I'm gonna take this prisoner down to the dungeon. Come on, stop running around.
Steady on now, steady on. Wear your uniforms. You're dressed like civilians.
Have you not heard of blending in so that you can apprehend people? I mean, you're all here. You could see a thistle a mile away with what you're wearing. We're down in the ground, down in the street.
We were trying to go undercover to find out about who's instigating this rebellion, and we found this one in one of the taverns.
Who gave
They're
you
all
that
over
mission?
again. And I feel like I try and spit, but it's almost just like I'm going like, and like there's like a big like spray of blood just aiming into the floor.
I'm gonna go right up to the guy who's talking to us and go, "You sent us way above your pay grade.
I need a name or I'm not letting you in."
Captain Carlaw himself.
Captain Carlaw, eh? And what was this mission? To infiltrate a rebel gang of some kind?
Infiltrate.
Stop the rebellion.
Stop the rebellion.
Yeah.
Find out who started it. This newcomer came to town yesterday. Starts talking about rebellions.
Speaking of newcomers, I've never seen any of you.
That's the
We're from
point.
Bigger operation.
Well, who
International
recruited you?
terrorist of great renown, you have heard whispers of my names and organized militaries fear me. For I've fell many of your kind before, and I will still have the last laugh today, unless you get me in a dungeon. If I'm in a dungeon, I am very much helpless. But until there, you're all still in danger.
I'm gonna try and change tact as like Glut speaking and like lean in and kind of go like, toughest thing about this one is that they never shut up the entire ride. Do you know what I mean? Kind of do a wee jovial like on the shoulder, be like, doesn't matter who sent me. Like I say, it's bigger than even you or me can imagine. But we need to shut down this rebellion. This will mess up the big plans.
Give me a persuasion check. This is partially to find out almost just is he warming to you, because he's still very confused and suspicious, but to see how kind of convincing you are right now.
Do we both need to do them?
I know, just Boglass.
Just Boglass.
He's talking.
A 7, I imagine Boglach is a
Oh,
little
no.
bit all over the place with Boglach's
As
presentation.
per usual.
Boglach isn't good at playing a tough guard, apparently.
This one
Boglach,
does
for
seem...
someone who's terrible at intimidation, Boglach certainly tries to do a lot of it.
Well,
He does seem a bit mouthy, but frankly, I'm confused. So far, you've told me that you're new recruits, you've commandeered some wine, you're on an underground mission to infiltrate a rebel gang. As far as I'm concerned, we didn't have any word that there was any kind of rebellion until about half an hour ago.
Well, you wouldn't, would you? Because it wasn't your job.
Are you locals, or are you, who are you people? You need to give me some information. If I just let anyone wander in here, Captain Carlo will have my head hiked above the battlements.
We were recruited the other day in... Oh my god, what was that town's name? Oh, sorry. We were recruited the other day by Captain Carlo's son. I didn't catch his name.
You see a look of a bit kind of like distaste crosses the face as he hears of the son and goes, but he's listening.
In Valach. We were recruited the other day in Valach. He'd heard whisperings of a rebellion in Lochilvin, and he wanted people that nobody was going to recognise to come into the town and find out what was going on. We've done that. We've got the instigator. Heard in the bloody Claymore herself.
Give me a persuasion check. That's a pretty robust story.
Hen.
I did hear there was some business afoot.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me this. Are you something to do with the big picture they've been talking about?
I mean, it would be bad to talk about it because you're not meant to talk about it.
I know, but I'm... it would help me trust you a little more if I perhaps knew a little bit more about what's going on. Captain Carlisle doesn't really fill me in a great deal, and if he just did, I'd be able to, step up and be more assistance. Perhaps you can tell me something. What's been going on?
If Captain
That picture.
Carlaw himself won't tell you, then I'm afraid we can't share that information either.
Well, very well. In that case, I will take your prisoner from here, and you can head back into the town. You understand, high security situation. We probably wouldn't be able to allow you to go any further.
Look, want to know the big picture. It's not quite the big picture, but I have some pretty distressing news to pass on to Carlo, and I feel like it's best to come from, friendly face.
What kind of news is it? I can pass it along.
No, it needs to come from people who were there
To do with
in
the son.
Valak the other day to do
Very
with
well.
his son.
Very well. Oh, don't suppose the fine young man has come to any harm, has he?
Unfortunately, yes.
And you can call me Harm. He was crying for his mother while I slit his fucking throat.
Shut it,
Who's
Bristol.
else?
Shut it.
Zell's just gonna kick Glute. Shut up!
Tasty! You can see the man you're talking to kind of like brightens up a little bit. He goes, oh, so no more of the young Carla, eh? Funny how the fates weave, isn't it? Oh, I
A
will,
tragic tale.
make sure. Perhaps you want to head to the barracks then. Get a drink or two. I'll see this little creature down to the dungeons.
Get her down to the dungeons.
Very well. Pottery, Tannen, with me. you see two of the other guards, kind of who are back behind the ballot, the sort of makeshift spiked banisters, move forwards and come in to flank around Glut to drag Glut away.
I go with them. I go with them willingly.
You watch as Glut is kind of grabbed one arm around either small arm and sort of hoisted a few feet off the ground as these two guards start marching her away towards the main doorway. As they're kind of like moving away, the gentleman standing directly in front of you goes, "So, I would like to know a little bit more information before I send you off. Captain Carlaw has been called away on business, but I'm sure he can debrief you himself when he gets back from whatever this nonsense is down in the town. In the meantime, you're welcome to stay out here in the courtyard, or I can't let you inside until we have more information."
I guess that's fair. If Carlo's not
That's
here, does that
fair.
mean you're in charge?
In a manner of speaking, I step up when I can, and probably soon to be made one of the Silver Thistles myself.
Also, not
Congratulations.
an original Silver Thistle.
Ah, well, you know, put in the hard work and the lesser thistle blooms, shall we say.
So were you part of this the guard city watch that was here before the thistles came?
I was. As we're speaking, you can see they've just kind of got up to the door with Glut, and you can see one of them kind of like awkwardly begins to like push the door open as they're kind of like handling Glut through. If you guys are all happy to let this play out, then Glut will vanish into the interior where you guys stay outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I wholeheartedly trust my companions.
I
You
think God
see
can handle themselves.
your companion vanish inside. He goes, yes, I was City Watch myself, a lowly member, but I knew that when more enlightened management came in, they would elevate those who showed zeal. And I am nothing if not zealous.
I mean, it takes a lot of bravery to turn in your own town, that's for sure.
Oh, but I like to think of it more as turning on the
Cleaning up the
element-
town.
Cleaning up the town. I couldn't have said it better myself. I have competition, I see.
Oh no, I was meaning that as a compliment. I mean, some people would get an awful feeling in the pit of their stomach turning on their own people. Some people call it empathy. I wouldn't call that at all. But you've really shown you'll be a thistle before long, just like us. I know it.
Well, I'm happy to turn against those who would harbour and ally themselves with the lichen. The spawn of the night have no place in Lochilvin, you understand. I'm sure you agree. Now,
Absolutely. We'd heard whisperings of a prisoner, a lichen prisoner, who was going to be made an example of.
Ash, Camellia, one of the local women. Never did like her myself. Always a dour expression. Always thought she should smile more. But she's gone down to the dungeons and she'll be under the guillotine before too long, I've no doubt.
I feel like as he made a comment about women smiling more, Zell's eye just like twitched slightly.
And he was, perhaps we can step into the barracks, get a drink. You can tell me a bit more about this mission, if you can hint at what you're about.
I'm sure, but I will never have a drink with someone I don't know the friend of. And off the name of.
The name
A
of?
long
I have
time.
many friends.
Long day.
Never have a drink without a friend. That's for sure.
Otto Darwin is my name, and was soon to be, I have no doubt, Sir Otto Darwin, the first knight in my family, believe it or not. And as he's kind of leading you guys towards what appears to be like a makeshift stable at the side here, which has been temporarily turned into kind of like where the guards are like hanging out and drinking, Glut, you have just stepped inside this long, dimly lit hallway that runs away from the doors into the centre of the keep. Looking around as you're being sort of hoisted along here, you can tell the space is not being very well cared for. It's poorly lit. There's a cold and kind of like pervasive damp smell in the air. It looks like a castle almost in sort of a state of dilapidation as you're being kind of like hoisted along. You also notice normally in a castle list you would see the colours of the ruling family, of the Kelmar family, but there are no flags up other than the flags representing the silver thistle on a black background as you're being kind of carried through. What are you saying as you're being dragged along here?
I'm just gonna stay silent and just have a look around for any like additional guards or like where it is exactly they're taking me. Try to make a mental map of where I'm getting taken, so that if when I do leave the dungeon, how I can like get out, basically. So I'm gonna be more passive and observant right now.
You are kind of watchful, glancing around. You notice that you pass through like a large banqueting hall. The banqueting hall clearly hasn't been used for a little bit. Tables are kind of like a little bit dusty, and there's chairs stacked up in the corners. You pass through the bottom of a large stairwell, and looking up towards the top of the stairwell, you can see a big kind of like double wooden door. There's something that might go into like a palatial study or a lounge, and standing outside that door are two more armoured guards, kind of seem to be standing watch there. But you are dragged on to where a staircase behind the main banqueting hall leads down into the servants' quarters, past a large, dimly lit kitchen currently out of use, through another door, down another stair, and into what appears to be the dungeons. The air becomes cooler and damper. The walls around you are no longer plastered or panelled with wood, but rather rough, damp stone. A heavy door is dragged open in front of you, and you're led into a dimly lit corridor by these two guards. As you're being kind of moved along the corridor, you can see that up ahead there are two individuals standing guard outside of one of these cells. Most of the cells appear to be empty, but the guarded cell has a silver thistle knight and one of the lesser thistles standing outside. And you appear to be sort of set to be placed into the cell next to the currently occupied one.
Okay.
The gate is dragged open, unlocked, and he goes, "Right, in you go, you little troublemaker."
Yeah. So are they grabbing onto the rope that's like tied around my wrist, or are they grabbing onto my arms?
Up until now, they've been holding onto your arms. One of them lets go of your arms and sort of begins to like drag open the gate of the cell, and the other one kind of like letting go of your arms just kind of like puts a hand on your back and another hand kind of just resting on the rope, so they're not like quite holding them, and begins kind of like guiding you in.
When he goes to guide me in, I want to slip my hands out of my robes and fucking book it. I want to fucking sprint away back up the stairs I've just been dragged down. I'm talking full pelt, like arms pumping, hands swinging, chest heaving. I'm going for it.
Just as they're kind of like guiding you in, you've been perfectly docile up to this point. One of them isn't even holding you, the other is just kind of like, quite relaxed, just handling you in. Give me a dexterity saving throw just to see if you're able to just slip out of their grasp as they begin to like lunge after you.
So quick question then about that. So I have danger sense, which gives me advantage on dexterity saving throws against anything that I can see. Would this count for that?
Anything you can see that's like it doesn't have to be dealing you damage.
You have advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects you can see, such as traps or spells.
This is more I'm trying to think about that.
So it basically says you have the uncanny sense to know when things nearby are not as they should be, which gives you an edge to dodge away from danger. You have advantage on dexterity saving throws against things you can see, such as spells and traps.
Yeah, so that would be more like picking up the vibe that something isn't right. This is this is just how fast can you duck a grabbing hand kind of thing.
Okay. Shit. That's a 6.
You turn and begin to sprint, and a hand kind of like catches your arm. You are moving with enough force that the figure behind you is like kind of like tugged along after you, and this heavily plate armored guard kind of like crashes down partly on top of you and begins to like kind of like get you into a grapple. Can you give me an athletics check? This is just going to be straight contested.
Okay, that is
that's going to be a 12 for them.
That is a 28.
You you both hit the ground, his arms go around you, and then you just punch them off. You're back up on your feet and you begin to like run. The others are close behind you as you start to sprint. Are you just booking it all the way back?
I'm booking it, and I'm gonna scream, I really hope that important door upstairs isn't important, because I have a fucking bomb on me, while I start sprinting away.
As you start sprinting, what is your speed right now?
It is 35.
Okay, 35 speed. These guys are in heavy plate armor and are not proficient with heavy armor. So you start booking it away, and you can hear this heavy clanking coming down the corridor behind you, leaping back out into the courtyard. Zell and Boglach have been brought round to this little kind of dank-looking former stable, and Otto is leading you in. You can see that the hay has been kind of like pushed aside, and what was once a trough has been kind of like turned upside down, and there's now various bottles of sort of poor quality looking wine on there. A couple of nicer bottles mixed in. It looks like these are being like commandeered from people. Otto goes over and goes, "Listen, this actually came in just today. A very fine vintage, from the year of the many-headed rat, I believe." And he picks up a vaguely familiar-looking bottle, kind of like sloshes it around and goes, "Let's crack it open and have a pour." Pulls it open, places down 3 little kind of wooden beakers on the rim of one of what was once a horse stall, and pours out this wine. He goes, "Looks a little thinner than I expect, but I guess you can't tell by looking at it. So, your good health."
To good health.
You'll clink. You get the strong taste of like bitter, kind of like slightly off-season blackberries and like grit and water as you knock whatever this concoction is back. Oh, that's the stuff. I'm a man of quality and taste. I can tell. Many-headed rat right there. So,
Zell's just gonna go, okay.
what? Now that your fellow's put away, your little ratty dwarven character, tell me what's going on. What's Carlo's big idea? Why the new gate? Why all the training?
Honestly, I would hate to be the person, like as you said, if you act out of place, your head will be on a spike, and if I do the same, then mine will be too. So I really can't say.
I understand. I suppose the thing is, Captain Carlo, your head stays on when your mouth stays shut, eh?
Exactly.
At that moment, Gloot, are you heading back towards the exit?
As I'm doing this, I think I would more try and go up, like if obviously not for like the study space, but if there's any sort of like upward spiral staircases that go up any of the towers or anything like that, like I that's the way I'm going.
The main staircase that leads up to that guarded door would probably demand that you ran past more of the guards. But if you stay on the ground floor, you can head into one of like the corners of the keep, a little off from the main banquet hall. You find a narrow, winding staircase that snakes up the inside of what you realise must be one of the sort of corner towers of the keep. As you're sprinting up, you see a very elderly butler coming down the stairs towards you. This very old man kind of stooped over a silver tray with a couple of empty plates on it. He goes, "Oh, good evening, young lady. Can I help you at all?"
No, you can't. As I just keep sprinting past her. Actually, you can. Tell them I have a bomb.
The energy of youth. Oh, yes. You hear distantly from below your voice going, "Yes, they wanted you to know that they have a boat. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but it might be down at the shore." As you sprint to the top, you kind of come to what appears to be a kind of viewing point, where there is another floor above you, but you've reached a floor where there are sort of wide apertures, unglassed windows in all angles of the tower. You're about 90 feet up here, looking down onto the courtyard below, and you can hear the clattering of multiple like iron boots coming up the stair of the tower below you.
I will reach into my pockets and pull on my punching daggers, take my little necklace of bear claws and give him a kiss and ask Tumble to keep me safe. And I'll reach at the side of the window and punch my fist really hard into the rock.
You lean out, and are you punching the rock like kind of like above the window or below?
Below. I'm wanting to climb down.
You punch it in for a moment. There's a kind of you're not really sure if this will work, if this will hold your weight, but as you kind of like you test it a little bit, and you can feel that the blade is like deeply lodged, and that the steel seems incredibly like strong and just flexible enough to kind of like ply with your weight as you put your weight on it. You can hear them running up the stairs behind you as you kind of lodge your blade in.
I then take a big deep breath and slowly lower myself into empty air while trying to punch my second fist into the mortar slightly below where my first one is.
You go down another little bit and slam that blade in. You're now like just hanging from the stone just below the lip of this window. As you look down, you can see a drop of about 85 feet dropping away below you towards the courtyard below. At this moment, over in the small sort of the mouth of the stable, you guys look over the guard's shoulder, and you can just see this small figure, a sort of a dark blot against the stonework of the tower. Otto is looking away from them towards you and going, I tell you, the thing about a good vintage is it sits on the tongue. It's like a memory that you've never dreamed of. And as he's saying that, are you just going to start climbing down?
I'm going to start trying to climb down, but I want to climb down so that I'm on top of the battlement.
So are you... just point to me on the map where you're trying to get to right now.
So, so if they're over here, then I'm trying to see this guy. Like, see the top right corner.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm trying to land. I'm trying to get somewhere near there.
So you could clamber down to there, and then if you wanted to, you could attempt. There's kind of like a stone kind of rim halfway down the tower that like just juts out by about a foot. You could attempt to jump from there across to the other the sort of outer perimeter wall.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for that.
You scramble your way down. You can hear kind of like a few shouts from the tower above, but there are more levels to the tower beyond the kind of viewing platform that you reached, and so they, assuming that you're still continuing to go further up, continue like on up to the upper regions of the tower. As you begin to descend, you get down to that little lip, and you turn around, and looking down, you can see this gap dropping away below you, stretching out towards the slate on the other side. If you can make it across, you can quite easily jump down from the little slate roof here onto the perimeter wall, but it is quite a wide jump. What is your standing jump?
My standing jump, is that half your strength score?
Yeah, if it's standing.
That'd be 9 feet.
9 feet. So with 9 feet, that alone would not be able to make it. If you can do an athletics check.
I was going to say, could I, like, while my hands are on, like, nailed in, could I almost, like, angle my body up so my feet are in between my hands and do, like, a big, like, kick off the wall, essentially?
100%. You, like, kind of, like, walk your feet back up onto the wall so you're sticking out almost, like, horizontally. And then if you time it right, you can power out, pull the blades out, and leap through the air. This will be an athletics check of 17 to try and jump the gap.
Okay. That's not... Oh, 27.
10 over. You clench back, power your feet off against the stonework. A little spray of masonry flies out as the blades emerge from the wall, and you just fly across the gap, landing quite dexterously on the slate roof opposite. From there, you can very easily slip down onto the stone wall.
Yeah, that's what I wish. So is that me on the left or the right hand side?
I'm just going to pop you back on the map. So you're just there up on the right hand side.
Perfect. Thank you.
As you kind of like jump back on, the conversation is still kind of going on. You've got the sergeant kind of rambling about his taste in wine. Listen, there's a particular vintage you have to try. I think it tastes like that feeling you get when you see an ex-wife, and she looks at you and she feels regret for having let you go. That's the taste of that wine. As he's saying that, are you guys just staying down there? You've seen the progress your companions made.
Zelle's still trying to kind of keep this guy distracted. She's going to be like, have you ever thought about writing? You know, you've been very poetic while you've been talking about this wine. You could be a bard.
Oh, go on. You think I could?
I genuinely do. I think you could be a bard.
My goodness, I suppose I might, from time to time, put a dabble of ink on the page, but I never thought of sharing my wisdom. But who knows? Gloot, what are you doing?
So I want to try at this point start like slowly sneaking towards like this part of the tower.
Give me a stealth check.
That is a 16.
16. You just start silently drifting along the perimeter wall. Again, the various other guards in the area just have not noticed you. They're all just kind of standing around a little bit uneasily. A couple of them have moved over to gaze out, kind of peering out over the wall towards the rest of the town. Coming up to here, this drum tower on the side has a door on one side, a door on the other that you can just pass through to come out on the main parapet front if you wish to.
While I'm in the room, what is inside the little circular tower?
Stepping into this little dimly lit circular tower, you glance around, you see that the space at one time would have been some kind of standardized watchtower where guards might have hung out and spent time while they were on their watch, keeping an eye out. The space has recently been cleared, and what appears to be a very large wooden crossbow has been built up and kind of like mounted at one of the windows pointing out into the town. You can see it's loaded with a huge wooden bolt ready to be fired, and the end of the bolt is wrapped in a heavy ragged cloth that's been wrapped around it. Sitting next to the crossbow are several large wooden barrels full of more of these enormous wooden bolts and several buckets of what appear to be some kind of oil.
Okay. So the giant ballista thing is loaded though.
It is loaded and aimed outwards into the streets below.
So if I go over to it, is there anything I can aim at out in the street level, which like isn't like it's just like in the middle of the road? Could I clearly fire something that's not going to immediately cause harm to anyone that's there?
Yeah, I mean, you could just fire at one of the houses or one of the buildings below, just like fire it into a wall or something. You can also see the wagon that you left outside is just sitting outside full of wine.
I'll what I want to do is I want to shoot the wagon from the ballista, and then immediately after that, I want to run over to the door, use our punching daggers, and like position myself so that I'm hanging directly above the door frame.
Are you lighting up the arrows at all, or firing them unlit?
How big are the arrows? Are they sizable?
They're probably almost like they're standing up right next to you. They'd be the same height as you.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think it needs. You know what? I am gonna set on fire. That sounds fun. Glow thinks that'd be very
Burn
fun.
it!
A giant flaming crossbow bolt at a wagon full of wine. That sounds fun as fuck. So yeah, I'm gonna set the ballista bolt on fire and shoot it at the wagon that we came in on.
You light up this ballista bolt and sort of creep the thing round. Can you give me a ranged attack just using your dex as a modifier?
Yeah, that is a 12.
That will fire. It's not a moving target. You launch this huge sort of modified fire arrow down at this wagon, which definitely is never going to get back to its owner. And as this enormous burning bolt lashes down into the side of the wagon, red wine goes spraying out across the street in huge gouts, almost like dark blood, and flames flare across the canvas exterior of the wagon. The horse lets out a high-pitched like neigh, breaks free from the traces, and just begins bolting off down the road at a speed you would never have expected from like an older horse like this. The wagon is now just flaring up. You can hear voices crying out nearby and from the battlements. As that sound explodes outside, Otto goes, "Hold on, I think this might be the rioters." And he runs out and goes, "All right, fellas, gentlemen, it's time. Fight for the thistle and earn your place among the order." And he runs out and begins heading for the gate. As several of the others begin to head down, only one of them is aware of what actually happened, that the arrow came from within the castle. That's the one marked yellow on the battlements, who goes hurrying over to the door of the drum tower and pulls the door open, looks in, sees nothing, takes a step in through the door. What happens?
No, I sound cliche, but on like Assassin's Creed drop on them.
Steps in, just for a moment, maybe thinks they hear something and kind of begins to look up, and then you just down on top of them, like crashing them onto the ground. What are you using to attack them?
My punching dagger.
Absolutely, roll to hit.
With advantage, because they're surprised?
Oh, they are surprised, yes.
That is a 19.
That will absolutely hit. Your blade just punches down into their back. Roll damage.
Because it's a punching dagger, would it still be a D4? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sweet. That is 5 piercing damage.
5 piercing damage. Blood gushes out from this individual as you pin them down on the ground. You just kind of find a little nook between the plates, drive the blade in there. At this moment, I need everyone to roll initiative.
That is a 22.
17.
Oh, nat 20, 21.
Hey.
I also got a nat 20 for my initiative roll.
Oh great, we're getting them out of the way then.
Yeah,
we're
the
getting
only
them.
nat 20s in combat.
The awkward thing is though, like, Boglak and Zell could still be pretending to fight for the silver thistle here.
That is true, that is true. Come and fight me if you dare.
I mean, no. But we don't know what's happening in that tower.
True,
At the moment,
true.
we're just gonna run to the door and be like, oh, rioters, but there's nobody there.
Top of the round is Glut. You are on top of this individual, pinning them to the floor.
Can I drag them to, like, here?
Mm-hmm.
And like, while they're there, can I try and, like, push them down onto, like, this purple guy?
Yeah, you can try to just like throw them over the edge of this wooden stair. As the purple guy is kind of heading down the stairs, you can just drop his companion on him.
Yeah, that's what I want to try and do.
Give me another ranged attack here.
A ranged attack. Okay. Because it's a big clunky object, can I use strength rather than dex or a modifier?
If you're... Yes,
It's like a
but then-
throw.
Absolutely, the AC will be higher then, because you're still trying to aim
that's fine.
this figure.
That's fine. That is a 17.
17. You like hoist him up and boom, throw him down as his companion is beginning to head down the stairs to answer Otto's call. This figure crashes down on top of him, and the two of them just like spill in a tangle of arms and legs on the ground. The one who was struck there is also going to take 4 bludgeoning damage as this heavily armored individual crashes into him from behind.
And then I just want to start like do almost like a caricature, like cackling after the guy. Ha 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 ha! I told you I'd have the last laugh.
As you
And
shout
my
that
turn.
out, and that echoes around the space, Otto looks up and goes, "Yeah, they're on the battlements already!" and draws his blade. Next up is Boglak.
So Boglak can see Glut now.
On the battlements.
In that case, Boglak kind of stands up, maybe drains the last of the berry juice. Is then going to place a hand onto her name's Zell's quiver. Kind of be like, I think shit's about to hit the fan, and we'll cast flame arrows on the quiver, or Zell's arrows.
Yay!
That's my action. As a bonus action, I don't know. I think I'm going to start making my way just like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'll just start making my way like towards the other guard who's like on that set of wooden stairs.
Absolutely. At this point, still retaining the illusion that you might be one of the Silver Thistle as you set off. Next up, Otto is going to get to here, and he's going to draw a small kind of light crossbow up from his belt, crank it back, fire at Glut. That'll be a 16 to hit.
Hits.
That will be 8 points of piercing damage as the first bolt strikes out of you. He's going to crank it back, fire again, and that is a crit, I'm afraid. We're all getting our 20s out early. So that is going to be 14 points of piercing damage as this crossbow bolt lances up, strikes into you again. He ends his turn, and next up is Zell.
Oh, I'm still trying to decide what Zell's gonna do. Because I still can't work out if she's gonna continue pretending to be Silver Thistle or if she's gonna come to Glute's aid. Okay. For my first action, she's gonna lean down and kind of touch the ground. Obviously, this will all get like lost in the chaos of it, and she's gonna cast Fog Cloud. Which has a space of about 120 feet. So is that like 120 feet, like in a circle? Like how's that?
Yeah, reading out from the point where it's cast.
Perfect. Okay, so I checked, and everyone should be close enough that they get engulfed in that, I think. So yeah, she's gonna do that just to make things a bit like more so that they can't really see what's going on. And then she's gonna kind of
check. So what point are you casting that on the map?
hang on, let me move first. So
okay.
She's gonna move as if she's following Otto. She's gonna move here. How far can I move again? Sorry.
So just to clarify, I've just been so.
Oh my god! I just drew on the map. I didn't.
Oh, don't worry. Just to clarify, the range of the spell is you can cast it on a point up to 120 feet away from you, and then the fog cloud will be 20 feet, and each of these squares is 5 feet.
Okay. So I just drew on the map. She's gonna move as if she's heading over with Otto, and then cast fog cloud so that Glute and the armed guards are in a fog cloud. Can I do that? Yeah,
absolutely. So that fog cloud is just going to essentially swarm around the pink yellow guards and Glute up on the battlements.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do this turn. Because she can kind of do that subtly so that it didn't look like it came from her.
Glute, you just see this kind of bubbling, roiling mass of white fog emerge in front of you, and this mist seems to close around you and the people down below you.
I feel that looks even better, me like cackling this evil laughter and him having the last laugh, and then I just like disappear from sight behind this like cloud.
Yeah, it probably definitely looks like you cast that spell.
Glute believes they're like, oh damn, I don't know how I did this. This is badass. I need to remember how to do this in future.
Anything else you want to do, Zell?
No, at the moment. She's still trying to stay a little bit kind of undercover.
Let me just.
For as long as she can.
Can you give me a stealth check? Because to cast that spell, we need to see if that anyone picks up on whether or not you cast that.
Yes. 22.
22. You kind of mutter under your breath, you move your hands, kind of conjuring that mist into the air, and in the chaos that's unfolding around you, nobody notices. As that mist forms, you hear someone going, I think they've got a magician in their midst. And Orange is going to just spend their turn actually sprinting. They're just going to dash this turn and take themselves up to the top of the stairs. This other kind of heavily armoured guard, panting up, evidently planning to come round on the battlements, skirting round. As they head up there, the one who was ambushed in the drum tower sort of drags themselves to their feet and staggers back up the stairs out of the fog cloud, but is unable to see the person who attacked them, and is just kind of in this disorientated, bleeding state. They have their crossbow kind of like ready, and they're aiming it into the fog, readying an action in case the attacker becomes visible. At that moment, you hear the sound of double doors crashing open as two of the guards who were pursuing Glute emerge onto the stairs and go, "The little one got away!" And they come running down to join into the fray, ending the round back up to Glute.
Okay, so is this cloud like you can't see anything, or is it just that you can see if you're really close to something?
Let me just check. No, you would have to be within 5 feet of anything to see it.
Okay, well in which case... Glut is going to follow like this kind of like banister around so at the top of the stairs.
Pardon me, I misspoke, so you can't see at all.
Can't see at all.
You're effectively
Okay.
blind.
Okay.
Yeah, it's heavily obscured, it says.
Yeah.
And spread corners. Sorry.
Okay. I'm going to try and go down the stairs, but I wouldn't be aware of Yellow's presence.
Well, just so I've got this right, Sarah, how far out does that cloud extend, or which could you maybe
20
draw
foot
them
radius.
from which point if you just tap it on the map?
Let's see. Yeah, 2 squares behind Pink, kind of where the stairs meet.
Gotcha. Oh, like round about there. Gotcha.
Yes, right
so
there,
at
right
this
there.
point, Glue, you have emerged from the fog as you're coming around. You can head back down into the fog that covers the lower landing of the stairs, but you would be able to see the yellow marked knight as they emerge from the fog here.
Okay, well, as I'm running towards them, then I want to, using the momentum of my forward run, I want to try and shove them over this banister.
Absolutely. Give me an athletics check.
Yes.
Ooh, they actually rolled well, so they are on a 21.
That is a 23.
Oh, you're good. You sprint forward and just slam into them. They kind of hold themselves for a moment and then they just tip back over the edge of the banister. They go tumbling down below. That is a hell of a fall. They are dead, I'm pretty sure. Yep, that's them. I think I got through like half of the damage. They tumble down to the ground below, hit the stone, you hear a loud audible snapping noise, blood jets out across the stonework, and they lie absolutely still.
And then with the rest of my 1, 2, 3, 4 movement, I want to run here.
You duck over. As you get up to the edge, you can see what appears to be a trail of black smoke curling up over the town from the lower regions of the settlement.
Sweet. And I'll end my turn there.
Boglach, what are you doing?
No idea. I think Boglach is confused as more and more people start coming out. While it's nice to keep up the semblance of a disguise, I think it may have got a little bit over their head. Not Glut specifically, but there's a lot of people here, and I think into out the fight is not the way to do it. So, looking towards the 2 that have come out, Boglach is just going to send an acid arrow to Blue.
Fire away.
I will cast that at 3rd level. Why not? It's going to be a nat 1, so an 8.
Because they assume he's an ally, would that be like a sneak attack?
No.
Urgh.
So that would miss, sadly.
Boglach missing, not too sure what to do.
Boglach, in a panic, you see these, it almost feels people swarming out from every direction. You turn, fire off that blast of bright kind of sickly green energy as the poison kind of like lashes past, or the acid lashes past them, strikes into the wall behind. You kind of like ducks and looks up and goes, "A traitor in our midst!" and draws his blade as well, kind of like focusing in on you, Boglach.
I'm going to attempt something. Boglach is going to walk forward, and a lot of the time Boglach has tried to like pretend to be something else, like really aggressive this session, which is not what Boglach is like. Boglach's going to try and be true to themselves. He's going to like almost timidly be like, sorry. There's something I needed to tell Otto, but I didn't get a chance. We're attacking from both sides. I thought you were coming in through the back. It's going to be chaos. Quick, we need to get back inside and stop them. Friends. Comrades.
Give me a persuasion check, but the DC is 20.
A -1. Let's hope a miracle happens.
Oh wait, hold on, pardon me. I want this to be doable, but at the very highest level, so this is 19.
Yeah, so that's an 8. So
That's an
Boglak
8.
has messed it up.
No worries.
Wow.
You shout that, but at this point, they're not even listening. They're just seeing people firing off magic spells in every direction. One of their friends just got thrown off a walkway and is now dead with a broken neck. He just lowers his head, lets out like a guttural animalistic grunt, and begins to run towards you.
I think Boglak just looks pissed off and it's just like, bring it then. And he's just ready to absolutely mess this guy up when he gets within range.
It was a valiant effort. At that moment, as you kind of like head down, get ready for this combat. Where are you happy with your movement? Or are you moving over?
I'll just move a wee bit over.
Beautiful. End of your turn there. Otto turns around, kind of having vaguely grasped what is going on around here, and turns towards Zell and goes, "I think I may be too trusting in my old age, or can I say, it's the poet in me." And he draws up his crossbow and fires off 2 shots at you. First one will be a 22 to hit.
That will hit.
That will be 7 points of piercing damage. Oh, second one will be 24 to hit.
Well, that's gonna hit.
And that will be 9 points of piercing damage as that second crossbow bolt sort of slams into you. These are bolts rather than arrows, so they land almost like punches, driving the air out of you as they pound in. He's going to spend the rest of his turn moving, and he's just going to move to here to try and put a bit more space in there. As he falls back, next up is Zell.
Okay, so from the ground, since she's got the air knocked out of her, she's going to pull her bow out.
Oh, you're
Now-
not down. You've not been knocked fully down.
Am I not down?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
that was just you were kind of rocked for a moment.
See if I'm firing off these flame arrows. Like, do I add anything to the damage or the whatever?
It's
I've not.
1d6 for 12 pieces of ammunition.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
From
Perfect. So yeah, she's gonna fire 2 arrows straight again in really quick succession straight at Otto. She was gonna try and play it off a little bit longer, but since he's gone first, then no qualms about trying to go for him. So that is the first one's a 17 to hit.
That hits.
Perfect. And that's oh shit. Hang on a minute. So I just add another d6 onto it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
d6 fire damage.
Okay, so that's gonna be 13 points of damage.
13
Fire
points
damage.
of damage. 13 altogether, including the fire damage.
Yeah, well, it was 11 plus 2 for the d6.
Beautiful. This flickering, burning arrow lances through the gloom, strikes into him. He lets out a yelp as flames kind of lick across the cloak he's wearing and kind of begin to sizzle and bubble the leather that holds his plates in place. He staggers back and goes, "Oh, this is what I get for being too sensitive, just as my ex-wife said." And he drops the crossbow and reaches for his sword. Anything else you'd like to do, Zell?
She's gonna go straight in for another arrow, straight at his hand, reaching for the sword. So that is 15.
That absolutely hits.
Perfect. Okay, so that's she's going straight for his arm this time, reaching for his sword, and that is 6 points of damage that time, 5 plus 1.
That second flaming arrow streaks towards him, strikes in, and this time the flames seem to spread under the armor, catching the undergarments he's wearing to kind of pad the armor. As these flames flicker across his skin, the armor begins to smoke and glow as these flames begin to catch on. He lets out a high-pitched scream and goes, "Curse you, Esmeralda!" and sort of crumples onto the ground dead.
Oh, yay.
Nice.
As Otto meets his tragic end. Everyone loved Otto.
I mean, Zell is a little bit sad about it because they did kind of bond over the poetry for a second. But, you know, needs must.
You would have bonded less if you'd seen his poetry. At that moment, one of the archers up on the stairs over to your left steps up and levels a crossbow at Boglach, fires off 2 shots. First one will absolutely miss. Second one's a nat 1, that's going to miss as well. 2 arrows just bounce off the ground next to you, Boglach, just kind of like pinging away. You get the impression that despite their heavy armor, despite their excellent armaments, these individuals aren't particularly well trained and are very nervous under these circumstances. With shaking hands, he misses these 2 shots. The individual who kind of just burst out of that door begins to head down here. They're going to fire off 2 shots towards Glut again, who they've just kind of heard attempt to plead with them. That will be 24 to hit.
Hits.
That would be 9 points of piercing. Pardon me, fine towards Boglach, just to clarify.
Sorry, what was the...
I did wonder, like, I was like, Glut's all the way up on the armament, the battlement.
9 points of piercing damage.
9 against me. Need to make a Constitution saving throw then. Do I need to make a concentration saving throw? Sorry.
Yes, are the fire arrows concentration? Yes, you do.
Concentration. And what's the DC?
So it would just be 10.
Cool. Roll it from here. Oh, 12. Maintain it.
You maintain concentration despite the pain kind of washing over you. You're able to kind of like hold yourself together. He's going to fire off the second one, but the second one absolutely misses, ending his turn. Green steps down to join him and fires off 2 crossbow bolts at Zell. First one is a nat 1 and misses. Second one is a 17 to hit.
That does hit, just, yeah.
That will be 8 points of piercing damage. Another crossbow bolt fires out, strikes into you. This is your 3rd crossbow bolt in a matter of about 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Back to the top of the round with Glut.
Okay, so from here, what I think I'll do is I'll move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces there. And after, so was Pink the guy that shot Zell or tried to shoot Zell there?
Green was the guy that shot Zell.
Green.
It's okay, don't worry, I'll get him.
Okay, that's fine. Well, anyway, I attacking me, hitting me, that's all fine, well and dandy. But I'm now seeing Zell literally just get like doosh 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 with these crossbow bolts, and that's really distressing for Glut. So Glut's gonna rage.
Just as you rage, I just need to check because Zell, you've taken damage 3 times. So are you still trying to hold your fog cloud in place?
Oh yeah, that is. Let's see.
It's concentration. So if you can give me 3 Constitution saving throws.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. First one's only 11. Second one's 7.
Oh, you lost it. The cloud vanishes on that second one.
That's okay.
That kind of, it actually clears the way for Glut as the fog vanishes. Glut now has a clear visual down onto the one below, who's kind of dragging, having been knocked down by his companion, is like dragging himself up to the feet as the fog vanishes, turns and just sees this furious figure racing down towards him.
Yeah, so I'm gonna rage, and because I'm raging, I get feral pounce. So I can move up to half my movement speed as well. So I'll move an extra to here. And then, I was like, you guards are incompetent as fuck. You let me go down to the dungeon with all of my weapons as I pull out my great sword. Because
that is actually a very...
No one ever said they took my weapons. No one at any point took any of my weapons. And I'm going to go for 2 hits on this guard. The first hit is a 14 to hit.
14 just misses.
Just misses, okay. And then the second attack roll is a 15.
That absolutely hits.
Fantastic. In which case, the first hit then is nice. 16 damage.
16 damage. You run down, just cleave in. How are you finishing them off?
I feel like as I'm going down the stairs, I kind of like jump when I'm maybe 2 or 3 stairs off the bottom, unsheath in midair, and then just go for like a falling cleave and just cleave the man straight in two.
With that feral pounce, you can like spring down almost animalistically, launching yourself off the stairs. The blade just comes down and straight down the middle. It's like one of those shots where like you're behind them and you just see the head go, or brain matter spraying out.
And I end my turn there.
Ending your turn there, we go over to Boglach.
I think Boglach is going to. They seem untrained and nervous and stuff like that. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think Boglach is just gonna walk a bit towards blue and green, just look really like tired and dejected, and just be like, "There's been more deaths today than I've seen in weeks of travel, and just lay down your arms. What's the point? You're gonna either be killed, or you could maybe make a run for it. But
I want to say to like
Not gonna end
punctuate
well.
this point is after the person splits in half, Glut just starts cackling even louder than before, just like ha 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 ha.
this was indeed an ambush, and a companion over there, I can't really control. You'll be cleaved apart. Might as well get a running start. I will fight if I need to. This isn't me trying to make up for anything.
Of their companions dead at this point, and with the cackling coming from the stairs, the DC for this persuasion check will be 15. It's still a high ask, but it's doable.
One that might.
Just an 11.
It's an 11.
I think
Oh,
Glaf just
no.
like notices that you're not persuaded. It's just like, sorry, I had to come to this really, and I'll cast another acid arrow towards the closest one to me.
Absolutely. You get the impression that they're scared of you, but they're scared of the Silver Thistle as well. They're scared of Captain Carlot, and turning at this point would probably mean a bad end with him.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss again. I think Boglak is just. Boglak doesn't want to kill these people. Boglak doesn't want to put these people down. Trying to find some way to get around it, but I guess we'll just keep taking hits for a while. Yeah, that'll be me.
Okay, in that case, Zell, you're up next.
Zell didn't want to kill these people until they hit her with 3 crossbow bolts. So now she's actually fully ready to kill everyone.
Glutes, Boglak is on one side being like, we can just sort this out, it's fine. And Zell's like, come on, let's go, just cackling, coming down from the upper battlements.
But first of all, she needs to take care of herself. So she's going to pull the crossbow bolts out and cast Cure Wounds on herself at 2nd level.
Far
which
away.
gives her 8 healing points. Brings her back up a little bit at least. And then
That is just, you can change your mind if you want, but that is an action if to do that.
I know that's an action.
Okay, cool.
And then for my second action, I
only
am
have one
going
action.
to. Oh, I only have one. Oh, okay, never mind then.
You
That's
have 2
fine.
attacks on
I
your
needed
action
to-
though.
Oh yeah, so I do. I
It's
always forget
confusing,
that.
I know.
Okay.
You can still
Okay.
move.
Yeah. No. I'll.
I said you can still move as well.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. No. Okay. Yeah, she's gonna move closer to Otto's dead body.
As you move over towards Otto's dead body, you can see just like what looks to be like a small notebook has slipped out of his his
Oh
pouch.
no! Is
And
that
is
his
lying on the ground,
poetry?
like slightly bloodstained. It's like monogrammed with his initials. As you head over, the sort of barrage of arrows begins again. It's basically all of the remaining fighters in play are up across the next bits. They are all going to take their attack. So first, the orange marked guard up on the walls is going to shoot Boglak. Once for 17 and once for dirty 20.
Full hit.
So that'll be 12 points of piercing damage from his 2 arrows as he shoots in. Blue is going to
Roll
fire.
concentration.
Oh yes, please.
Is it 12 across the 2 attacks?
12 across the 2
Understand.
attacks, yeah.
So the DC's
Still 10.
Yeah, but I'll do it twice. This one's going to pass. Second one's going to fall, so no more flaming arrows.
No more flaming arrows. The other two, not realizing that the flaming arrows have stopped, they've just seen that one of your party is like dealing out flaming
Oh,
arrows
no.
at people around them, and then just cast a spell to heal themselves. So they both train their arrows on Zell. The first one is a 23 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
That would be 5 points of piercing. Shoots again, 2 misses. The guard marked the green is going to shoot. That would be a 24 to hit.
That'll hit.
That would be 5 points again. And then that would be a dirty... No, that would be a 21 to hit. And that would
Gonna
be
hit.
6 points of piercing.
Okay, Zell's not doing well.
Yeah, these little crossbows are doing a lot of digging. We return to the top of the round with Glut.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll run. So I'll run to here, drop my great sword, and then unsheathing my opening statements. I'll throw them both at the green guard, and they are my hand axes. So the first one is a 25.
Absolutely hits.
And the second one is a dirty 20.
These two
Good rolls.
are beautifully carved hand axes, just completely out of left field. The green guard is focused entirely on Zell, and these 2 axes slam into him.
Both 2d6 plus 12. That is 18 damage.
That does it. Where are you hitting him with these axes?
So I feel like laughing all the while going down those stairs. The first one that I throw like straight on, so like it almost like it almost concaves the helmet in a wee bit, but still bounces off because obviously still wearing a helmet. Because he's bending at the skull a little bit. But the second one I throw side on, as it spins through, it just cleanly cleaves his head off, where there's that like little like gap in the armor between the helmet and the breastplate.
Blood sprays from his neck and gushes all over his companion, who lets out this like terrified shriek and staggers sideways. His friend's blood like dripping down the side of his face.
And then as like his body falls, I want to like lock eyes with the blue one and be like, "Don't you move a fucking muscle, you're next," with like a big like face splitting grin.
The one who's still alive and has blood all over him kind of looks towards Glut and then looks back towards Boglach, and this time looking towards you, Boglach, there is like this pleading look in his eyes as he looks at you, kind of thinking back to some of your previous statements.
Literally told you, I cannot control this individual. Like, you kind of brought this on yourself, mate. Like, sorry.
Zell's coughing up blood in the background.
Boglach, you are up next.
Boglach's just going to ignore the guard that's now like completely turned, charging 1 second, angry the next. Boglach is just confused about nobody listens to sense sometimes, but anyway. I'm going to bonus action healing word for Zell. That'll be at 2nd level, so it's going to be 2d4 plus 4. You're going to get 10 hit points back, Zell.
How many?
10.
Sorry, it cut out again.
10.
Sorry, 10.
10, sorry. Thank you.
Oh, don't worry. And then I'm just going to check that this works. So, Produce Flame is a cantrip.
Mm-hmm.
I can cast that. Again, I know it can be 2 spells in 1 round, but it can be a cantrip and a leveled spell, can't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if the cantrip's a bonus action.
It's an action cantrip, but the bonus action was Healing Word.
Healing word. Okay, gotcha.
Does that still work, or does that have to be a bonus action cantrip?
I'm pretty sure as long as a cantrip and a leveled spell, it should be fine. I'm going to double check that just to be 100% sure.
No problem. And then it just says that you produce a flame, and then when you cast the spell or as an action on a later turn, you can hurl the flame. So I'm guessing I can just cast it and hurl it 1 turn, like as an action.
I'm pretty sure that's fine. I'll double check afterwards. We can convene, but I think that would make sense in the situation. You also have a bit of breathing room here since everyone is quite far away from you and demoralized. So you've got that room to kind of to wiggle a bit there. So just remind me where you're casting this.
The produce flame.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like as like a flickering flame's going to appear in my hand. Kind of shedding a little bit of bright light and, kind of lighting myself up. And then it says when I cast this spell, I can do this. So I'm just going to cast this flame and then hurl it towards the blue guard.
That flame kind of flickers into life in your hand, forms a little kind of momentary kind of swirling vortex, and you boom, throw that through the air.
It's a nat 1. Boglach does not... There's something that's stopping Boglach from... Yeah.
Boglach's chi is off.
Boglach has missed so many spells that it does make Boglach think like, I want to hurt these people. Like something's stopping me. Is it the thing that gives me power? Is it nature itself is telling me? And it's just sort of confused and its turn there.
In that case, next up is Zell.
Okay. See, with bonus actions, can I cast them before I do my action?
Yeah,
or...
bonus action can be anywhere in there.
Okay, perfect. Because I can cast Hunter's Mark as a bonus action. So I'm gonna look at the blue guy and cast Hunter's Mark on him.
Absolutely.
Once
again, although others can't see it, you now see this kind of little kind of glowing green runic symbol floating above his head, marking him out.
Yay. And then she's gonna take her. Sorry, I'm only operating off one screen, so it's a bit. There we go. And yeah, so then she's gonna fire an arrow straight at that bit in between the breastplate and the helmet again. Not on fire, but still doing something. And that is a 23 to hit.
That absolutely hits.
So that's gonna be. Hang on a minute. 15 piercing damage.
15 is exactly his HP. How are you doing that?
Yay! So yeah, well she's aiming straight for the neck, so I guess it's going to go straight in here. So yeah.
He staggers, with blood all over the side of his face. Then this little ball of flame flies by his head, and he kind of like ducks backwards to try and avoid the ball of flame. And as he bends his head back, the arrow just out of his neck.
Perfect. Well, she didn't get revenge on the green guy, but she got revenge on the blue guy.
At this point, there is only one left, standing at the top of the stairs. You can see this individual holding a crossbow bolt. He is the one who earlier on missed 2 shots when he was trying to shoot at Boglach, and kind of like standing there for a moment, he just drops the crossbow onto the ground and goes, "No, I'm not particularly partial to the whole Silver Thistle thing anyway. I could take it or leave it. I was just sitting watch."
I think Boglach is just going to sigh and just turn to Gluten Zell and be like, no more death. Let's just go and free this prisoner. Let's go.
Zell's going to be like, let's use him to get us to the prisoner.
I've got a better idea, and Boglach is going to use Disguise Self and turn themselves into Otto.
Ooh.
It's Firbolg magic as well. I believe should all be okay. Because I did actually just mess up the Produce Flame spell. You can't cast it and throw it at the same time. So good thing it missed. There's no,
it was meant to be.
No untold damage.
Also, as a sidebar, can Zell take the notebook that she found by Otto's body and put it in her satchel? She's going to have a look at that later.
Slip that into your satchel. Unless anyone is going to stop him, the crossbowman is going to sprint down the stairs and try to leg it out through the gates.
Oh, I had no intention of letting him live. I'm caught in the throes of my thang, so I'm gonna run after him barehanded, just laughing all the while.
You can intercept him as he comes down the stairs and then begins to like run towards the gates. You can just jump in between him and the gates if you want to take an attack.
I just want to tackle him to the ground.
Oh yeah, tackle him. Give me athletics. He rolled a 4, so that's not.
That is an 18.
He's like running, head down, and you just clam into his side. He crashes to the ground.
Yeah, and then I just want to basically lift his head up off the floor and just like slam it back in and just like keep repeating that.
You watch as your companion pins the last remaining guard, the last remaining lesser thistle, onto the floor of the courtyard, and just begins to slam the head down as the front of the helmet begins to like cave in, and blood sort of pulses outwards across the stonework. The figure lies very, very still.
I think Boglak, having completed disguising themselves as Otto, is just gonna put a hand onto Glut. Be like, deep breath, buddy. Let's go and free our prisoner now. Just kind of scary as always.
Yeah, Glut looks at the like, you know, the absolutely scene of carnage that they've inflicted, and projectile vomit all over their shoes, just like a completely grossed out with what it is they've just done.
I think like matter of factly, Boglak is just going to be like, I know you want to throw up right now, but you are the only one that can lead us to the dungeon, so come on, let's go, come on. And kind of like a wee slap in the back is like, there, buddy.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Zell's gonna come over to Glut and put her hand on her shoulder and be like, you saved my life, thank you.
Yeah, like I mean this literally. Please don't mention it. It's
Okay.
It's literally all good.
Wording of
Can you
that.
lead us to the prisoner?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Are there other guards still, or is that everyone gone?
Yeah, I counted at least. There's at least more inside.
Okay.
I think Boglak just wants to head in as disguised as Otto and just be shouting out like, "Rebels! The rebels are at everybody to the gate! They're breaking it down! Please, I must find something!" And just like trying to like get everybody outside. I'm in charge. Like just.
Are you shouting that while staying outside?
I think walking in, possibly, if Zell, I don't know. Depends what Zell and Glut want to do.
If you're doing that, then Glut would what'd you call it? Maybe go back upstairs into one of these rampart things to like hide.
Okay, cool.
Zell might come along beside you, because since the others thought she might be part of... Oh no, wait, actually, she should probably hide too.
You guys are heading to take hiding positions while Boglak heads into the interior, calling out, voice echoing through the hallways. And as you step in there, Boglak, you don't hear any sound coming back from the interior of the castle. Your voice echoes through these long, empty corridors, and you don't hear anything. Very distantly, you think you hear a kind of a metallic clunk, like something hitting the ground, and then silence.
I think Boglak will then turn around and like look at Glut and Zell, wherever they might be hiding, and be like, "Seems all clear. Maybe they all came out. Maybe they ran. I don't know." Some weird clanking though, and when I think about it, are here for a like and.
I come down and like go into the main entrance with you then.
Yeah, Zell's warily walking behind.
You are back in the same large entrance hall that you were in before, Glut. You can see up ahead where the large kind of atrium opens up. If you head into that space, you'll have the stairs running up to the guarded study door, and then beyond that, another tunnel runs away towards the banqueting hall.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna remember that I left all my weapons outside, and I'll try and be like, oh, actually, I think I need to get some fresh air just momentarily, and then return just laden with all my weapons again. Be like, oh yeah, that fresh air really hit the spot.
I think I'll turn to Zell and say, this whole plan, I was kind of thinking that we were rescuing somebody. Kind of forgotten that we were rescuing a werewolf. If they transformed, that's bad. No?
Is it a full moon tonight? I think it's a full moon tomorrow. I can't remember.
In that case, it should be okay. Yeah. It's just...
Because we
really
had to
quiet in
I'm
here.
sure we had to meet the brother on the full moon.
Yeah. Okay. But it does seem very quiet in here.
It's scarily quiet.
Nah, it would be
Luke would
fine.
say there was more cards.
All the
Oh,
all,
go
the,
ahead.
all the Silver Thistle probably just ran because they were scared. We literally have nothing to worry about.
Run where?
The secret exit, night shit. Somewhere that's not here.
Guys,
Oh,
I don't
anyway,
want to fight a werewolf.
Anyway, the dungeons are this way. That's fine.
Okay.
Together you set off into the sprawling, silent interior of Castle Lochilvin as outside smoke begins to rise and ever thicker clouds from the lower town, and the strange silent stillness seems to thicken around you where every footstep sounds like the echoing clang of the bell you heard earlier on ringing out across the town, now ringing out through the stony, dark interior of the castle. And that is where we will leave tonight's session.
Oh,
That means something bad's gonna happen.
Oh
no!
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, artwork for the characters that you see on screen right now by Jessica Bowen. Her Instagram page is down below this video if you want to check her out, and hire her to do your character art because she's great. The music was provided by Nerdiest Maximus Studios, whose Patreon you can find below this this video, and whose music all his patrons can use in their own media, which is fantastic. And the maps you've seen on screen throughout and in the background right now are created with incarnate.com. And I do also have I literally have poetry here from Otto. Ready?
Yay! Oh my god!
No,
Please
you
read
don't.
me Otto's
No.
poetry.
No.
Right, as we're going through the corridor, Zell's rifling through this notebook. Just come on, what's Otto's poetry?
Nah, I gotta save it for the next session.
No.
The cruel,
Don't
the cruel ex-wife, a spectre of strife. Her presence a storm, a tumultuous life. In hindsight's gaze, regrets now rife. Divorce's decision, a dagger-edged knife. She yearns for the past to undo her strife.
Oh.
Did you write that while we were battling?
I have to admit, I used ChatGPT.
I was gonna say, like, if you had written that before the
Incredible.
session, it
I
was like,
know.
how would you navigate that into like?
No, I said, write a 5-line poem about Otto's horrible ex-wife and how she wishes she hadn't divorced him.
Amazing.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in the next session.